Hello, good morning, and welcome to Morning Brew on Hughes of the World. I'm the Hughes, and this is the world. A little tiny portion of it. How are you doing this morning? Really great news from Plum Duff, who has finished their book. Absolutely brilliant. Just published my book. Absolutely amazing. I know how difficult it is to write a book and to get it published is very, very, very difficult. So well done, and thank you so much for the super chat. That is absolutely fantastic, and yeah, we'll make sure that you are celebrated in correct proportion to your achievements. So I'm just going to see if I can grab something that I made yesterday, and then we'll launch it here. This is for you. This is for Plum. So here we go. Hopefully this will work. I'm gonna release the Boba Fetty. The Boba Fett. Look at that! Boba Fett! Take that. Yes. Right. Yeah. Look, you see my eyes through it almost. Hello. I hope you're all right this morning. Gallifreyan Ren. Don't mind the negative word count. Who else have we got in there? We've got Shred Herring. We've got Viper Scott. We've got Captain Coco Nut. We've got Person Impersonator. We've got Francis. We've got loads of people in there this morning. Saz is in there. L Butterfly Effect. Welcome. Liam Devlin is in there. I can see. Hello. Hi. How's it going? Hope you're all right this morning. I just want to say, if you want to join the chat, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button. Wait for a minute, and then you'll be able to join in. But don't be a dick. I mean, I don't ask much in life. Just don't be a dick. Anyway, so we're going to be talking today about dicks, particularly the dick called Wes Streeting. And I just want to talk at the moment. And I have actually got the BBC update page updating, and I've also got the Guardian update page updating on my screen. I've got all these things updating because there is the potential of there being a leadership challenge by Wes Streeting, which I think would be the most stupidest thing that anyone could ever do, ever. Well, not ever. I mean, there have been stupider things in the past, but it's pretty monumentally fucking stupid. First of all, I have a question to you. Everyone in the chat, you can answer this. What exactly is Wes Streeting offering that Keir Starmer isn't? I mean, this is the fact here that most of Streeting's policies are not fundamentally different to, if you want to call it this, Starmerism. How's it going to be a clean break? You know, he's back to the same strategic direction as Starmer. No, the triangulation, trying to get votes from all sides, which isn't working very well. The sound tough politics, the fiscal conservatism, possibly arguably social conservatism as well, the endless caution, the hostility towards the Labour left, and a heavy reliance on focus group politics rather than actually asking the people who are being directly impacted by what's happening, rather than asking them what they think, or what might happen, what might be a consequence. No, we'll have a focus group. People who don't know anything about anything. Let's just get them in. Just random people off the streets. We'll ask them questions. Francis Winrow, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Wes Streeting is dull and a knob. Yeah. I'm not going to argue. Listen, right. Focus groups, right? If you're trying to sell a product, right? Okay. So imagine you've got a new chocolate bar. And what you do is you drag some people in off the streets. No, I don't want to eat chocolate. And then you go, but there'll be chocolate. Oh, okay, I've changed my mind. They come in, they eat the chocolate. And they go, yum, yum, that's tasty chocolate. And they say, would you buy this chocolate? And they go, yeah, I would buy this chocolate. And for 50% of them say, yeah, they'll definitely buy that chocolate. It's really good chocolate. It's a great chocolate bar. It's a great idea. It's got peanuts in. Yay. Right? They're going to be like, okay, cool. The one person who's got a peanut allergy has to be rushed to hospital. Sorry about that. But the others, it's all good. Right? Okay, cool. So then you launch your brand. You see? That's cool. Now, it's a bit different with politics. Because in my analogy of someone liking a chocolate bar and the focus group saying, yep, great chocolate bar, there isn't necessarily another chocolate bar manufacturer who are going to attack that chocolate bar and tell everyone that that chocolate bar's got poison in it. I mean, they might make a better version of the same chocolate bar, which people might buy instead. It's always a danger. But there won't be anyone actively attacking that particular chocolate bar. It's not really something they do in advertising very much. They don't normally go straight after their competitors. It's seen as counterproductive. But that happens in politics. But in politics, there's something else as well. So you have a new tax on tractors, right? And then you get a bunch of people who don't drive tractors, don't have anything to do with tractors, and never gotten a tractor in, and you say, would you mind very much if we put a tax on tractors? And the people who don't drive tractors will go, yeah, it's going to affect me. That's fine. You know, that's fine. It won't affect me. I don't mind. And they go, okay, well, all these people, we got all these people in, and 99% of them who don't drive tractors said it's fine to put taxes up on tractors. So we put this tax up on tractors. What happens the next day, right? The other chocolate bar companies, the other parties, the other people, they'll say, hang on, what about the people who actually drive tractors for a living? How do they feel about this? And they'll be pissed off, and they'll drive their tractors into London, and they'll say to everyone, yay, knobheads, now that you put this tax on fucking tractors, we're not going to be able to make enough food for people. And the people from the focus group are going to be like, oh, no one mentioned food before. Oh, it's going to affect me. Because here's the thing. You can get people to get very, very vexed about anything. I'm old enough to remember back in 2010 when no one gave a fuck about our membership of the EU. It was not a hot button topic. It was not something that anyone even thought about. When asked in the 2010 general election and in the run-up to it what people's priorities were, leaving the EU was somewhere down below painting the bollards pink. Do you know what I mean? It was just, no one gave a fuck. It was like there was a little hardcore group of ultra-conservative, Russian-paid spivs and wankers who were like, you could blow out the EU. It's making my life a fucking misery. But it wasn't. No one thought about it. But suddenly there was a campaign which meant 5 years afterwards, it was the most important thing in British politics. And the same thing happened in 2016 with trans rights. I mean, I've always cared about people on the margins, but most people didn't even think about it. They were like, yeah, of course, trans women will just use the women's toilets. That makes sense. Trans men who look like men and have a beard and, abs and, is that an ab? No, I don't know. Muscles, whatever. Guns. They'll use the men's, right? Right? It's just normal. Right? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Gay marriage now is legal, and we're really accepting. And the biggest winner of Big Brother in history in terms of actual votes. More people voted for Nadia to win Big Brother than any other Big Brother winner, and she was trans. So no one cared. No one cared. Not like, I'm not saying no one cared about trans people. I'm saying no one cared about trans people using the toilet, or trans people in sport, or trans people in until the other side started going, oh my God, look at this. Or the oil companies, actually. And the oil companies went, oh my God, look, there's trans people. Gah! And then suddenly it became the most important thing in the fucking world to people. Like they were waking up in the middle of the night going, trans people exist. Because they were made to. And you see, this is why focus groups in politics, right? What you need to do, right, if you're going to make a new rule, something, right, you want to bring in the people who are going to be affected by the rule. So you're going to make a rule. It's going to affect farmers. Bring in the farmers. Don't bring in people off the street because they don't know. They don't care. There's nothing to do with their life. You want to make a rule about trans people? Okay, bring in some trans people and ask them how they feel about it. Yeah, because it's going to affect them more than it's going to affect anyone else. I mean, it might help the TERF sleep at night, but I don't think there's anything that's going to help the TERF sleep at night because they hate the fact that some people on this planet exist. And that's never going to change. There's always going to be trans people. There's always been trans people. There always will be trans people. So you're never gonna make them content. In fact, just make your life a bit easier. Make life easier for trans people. That's that's actually an achievable goal. Making trans people happy, achievable. Making TERFs happy, unachievable. They'll never be happy. Just like Brexiters will never ever be happy. You can give them the hardest fucking Brexit imaginable, short of going to WTO rules, which would be an economic catastrophe on a scale I don't think any developed economy would have ever seen before. But thankfully, we didn't do that. But as a result of that, they're like, oh, we didn't really leave. And now in Parliament yesterday, I don't know what's had to do with the King's speech, because they only said we're going to get closer relations with Europe. You had some twat stand up on the other benches saying, oh, we're going to be a rule taker rather than a rule maker. And I'm like, if you have a government, right, in our country, and they want a trade deal with another country. So let's pick a country at random. Let's say Angola, right, in Africa. So we want a trade deal with Angola. And Angola say, okay, we're going to let you trade freely this particular commodity that we want here, that we have a shortage of. And in return, we're going to trade freely this commodity that we have an abundance of, but you don't have. Okay, cool. Right. That does not mean the government of Angola controls our government. Okay, it doesn't work like that. It's an agreement between two different governments that is usually in the mutual benefit of both countries. But in the mind of a Brexiter, right, any deal with the EU is bending over and taking it from the EU. When the reality is opening up their market, especially when it comes to like pharmaceuticals and that, it is going to be incredibly lucrative for Britain. It's going to help the British economy dig itself out of the hole that the Brexiters threw us in. 8% GDP loss year on year. 8% knock to our GDP. And then people go, oh, but the French economy is not doing that well. The Germany, yeah, we're not France. We're not Germany. We had other advantages that they didn't have. You know, Germany doesn't have a fucking Commonwealth for a start. They might have done, but they lost World War One. The fact remains that Britain was on target to get at least 100 billion a year more into the Treasury if we had stayed in the EU. That was just something the tax that we got. Obviously, the amount, the knock on the greater economy was bigger than that. And they reckon over a trillion pounds Brexit cost us now. £1 trillion. But the Brexit and the Brexiteers still aren't happy. And here's the thing, right? You've got two groups of people, right? You've got the nice people, like the people who want to stay in the EU, trans people, etc. And then you've got the horrible people, the Brexiters, the TERFs, the Faragites, right? Right. There is one group there that you can never satisfy. You will never, ever, especially if you're a part of the left. I just, you're never going to make that side happy. Our side? Oh, God, you can make me ecstatic. Just all you need to do is go back into the EU. Yeah, no, I'm cool with that. I'm not going to run around and go, well, we're not properly back in the EU. Blah, 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 blah. No, it's fine. Just get us back in. I don't care. How can you make trans people happy? Well, make them feel fucking like they can go out in public. Maybe, without being accused of using the wrong loo or stealing a shit swimmer's 5th place fucking medal. Hey, if that trans person had been in that swimming race against Riley Gaines, she would have come 5th. Yeah, she did come 5th, joint 5th. Fucking hell. Yeah, so, yeah. You've got two groups, one of which you can actually satisfy and one that you can never satisfy. Unfortunately for Wes Streeting, he's decided to try and satisfy the TERFs. Yeah, Wes. I mean, come on, lad. Fucking idiot. But yeah, like, if MPs on the left of Labour are rebelling, are saying we should get rid of Starmer because voters have rejected Starmerism, replacing him with Starmer with maybe a slightly better comms campaign makes no sense. You know? It makes it look like a palace coup driven by ambition rather than ideology or vision. And yeah, I just want to go back to that thing I said about when you talk to Brexiters and they're like, yeah, but the economy of Germany's not doing that well. Yeah, we could be trouncing them. They've still got a bigger economy than us, mate. Or it's almost like, this country didn't do as well as us in an exam. You know, well, this kid didn't do as well as me in this exam. Well, let's tear up the exam so this never happens again. It's like, what? but the you look at somewhere like Spain that's doing really fucking well right now because it's, you know, it's in a position to do really well. But there's loads of countries in the EU that are doing really well. It doesn't negate the fact that we've done shit, you know. Oh, I got an F in this exam, but someone else got a U. And I just want to say this as well about Streeting. Right, sorry, I'll have a look at the chat. Oh, I haven't put a goal up. I haven't put a goal up. Hang on, let me sort this shit out. Let's sort all this shit getting sorted out. Share how you will celebrate. Do you want Boba Fetty or confetti? I'm going to do confetti. But we have got Boba Fetty. If there's enough screaming for Boba Fetty, then we can do that. Confetti. I find it disturbing that Burnham is the only guy in the whole lot that can do it. I don't. I really don't. It's like only Harrison Ford could play Han Solo. He just could. I mean, they had Tom Selleck lined up to play Indiana Jones. Could you imagine? I don't know. I just think that sometimes, yeah, that's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. And although we'll go look around and go, surely someone would do a better job. I don't know anyone out of my group of friends who I'd put as Prime Minister right now. No offence to me mates. I wouldn't do it. I think we'd all make a shit job of it. I'd be tremendously unpopular because I'll just be swearing all the time. And I'm a little bit scouse. Posh scouse, apparently. Where's Plum's confetti? Where's Plum? We did confetti. We did confetti already, but I can do it again. Sadly, I have to leave early again today. Oh no, Sarah. Well, listen, Sarah, since you've got to leave, I'm going to do the confetti for you, just for you, okay? 3, 2, 1, confetti! Confetti! Groovy. Okay, so yeah, that's for you, Sarah. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thanks for hanging in there with the lunacy of this channel. the banter. Pete's music is sorely missed. It's not Pete's music, is it? Where's Pete's music? I'm sure Pete's music was here yesterday. Pete Dencat. Won't Pete's music's email address be on his YouTube? So you could try emailing him. Or maybe I'm getting Pete's music mixed up with Pete Dencat. I don't know. Where did Graham get his channel goal system from? Angola. Very good. Very, very good. Gallifreyan, man. Don't give up the day job. Peter Paints a lot says the EU will not let us back in. They might allow us to join some sort of customs union, sneak back into the customs union on the edge. Oh, it's disappeared. I was reading that. Don't snatch a bloody message out of my hand. I'm reading it. 1 second. Burnham's not a certainty that he'll turn it around. He's the best option if he could get in. But it's certainly no certainty that he'll give him a massive long-term boost to his popularity. Yeah, I know. I know. But Burnham is the least worst option at the moment. Hope Pete's music is okay, says Martin Howard. So do I. Andrew Rayner has been cleared, therefore can stand without a problem, from Miss Paula Thomas. Thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Yes, she has been cleared. We'll get into that in a moment. But yeah, I want to just talk about Wes Streeting for a moment, because there's another thing here. Like he survived the last general election with a majority of roughly 500. Jonathan Ashworth didn't win his election. He didn't get in, and that means that he's already politically vulnerable. 500 is not a lot to win a seat. His own constituents are not overwhelmingly loyal to him, and he cannot project electoral invincibility. And also, if he did get to be leader, he would change his seat possibly to somewhere a bit safer for Labour, like, I don't know, Walton or something. But launching a leadership coup from such a weak electoral position, could be a bit risky. So I'm just keeping an eye on the updates coming from the Guardian and the BBC website. So if you want to get ahead of me, you can have them updating on your laptop or something, or whatever you. Yeah, potential leadership challengers jostle for positions as PM's allies warn of chaos. As Chris Mason just being a bit of a knob as usual. Where have we got? Jez Phillips' resignation letter, I thought was very dignified. I will vote for her, but I don't think she'd be that popular. She'd want it to be that popular, says Jeffrey. I don't think that Angela Rayner will be popular enough in what you could call the soft left or the centre right of Labour. I mean, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I just don't think that the voting public in the current state of, maybe in a few years' time, when things are settled down. But at the moment, when they have to fend off challenges from the likes of Farage and also, they're losing votes to the Greens, which is crazy. Like, all the Greens is Labour, but with better comms. That's it. A better leader. Someone who can actually communicate to people in a better way. But you've seen how they've gone after him. Like Zach Polanski, giving him all this shit because he didn't pay council tax on a narrow boat. You don't pay council tax on a narrow boat. You pay it on your mooring, and it's sorted out with the local, whoever owns the mooring. So it's not quite the same, but it would be like the equivalent of a few grand that he should have paid in council tax if he should have paid that. And at the same time, Nigel Farage was given 5 million fucking spondoolies off some motherfucker in Thailand who launders Russian blood money for a living. Dying ain't much of a living, kid. Name that film. Okay, opponents of Wes Streeting are painting him as self-serving and disconnected and obsessed with Westminster games while barely holding his own seat. And if Labour members see him as destabilising the party while his own constituency nearly rejected him, the optics don't look great. And here's the thing, like, at the moment, Angela Rayner, she's got a bit of a free reign, Rayner, if you will. Where's the squeaky tank? But because she's not a government, she's not a Secretary of State, she's not a government minister, she's not a Deputy Prime Minister anymore, so she can do what she likes. Whereas Wes Streeting's got something to lose, because if he doesn't win, he's not going to be Health Secretary anymore, is he? Obviously. Michael Heseltine damaged Thatcher but never became PM. Boris Johnson's cabinet rebels became politically toxic overnight, and Labour MPs who undermined Corbyn became hated by large parts of the membership. And don't forget, like, Corbyn had dozens of his ministers, shadow ministers, stepped down in the wake of the disastrous 2016 referendum result, and yet that guy stayed on for another 3 years, 2 general elections, a European election, and he lost all of them. Ms. Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. The opposition to the streeting in his community is from the left. Reform is very small there. Yeah. Well, this will be the irony, won't it? If a lot of the people a lot of the MPs who came out and said we need a new leader, a lot of them were leftists. At the end up with Streeting, who I would say is probably a bit more right of Starmer. Yeah. But yeah, so if Streeting challenges Starmer and fails, not half the party, more than half the party, are never going to trust him again. Many will see him as disloyal and someone who plunged the government into chaos for no reason other than his own ego. And he could go from future leadership contender, and he's only young, he's not some old guy who's about to shuffle off this mortal coil, but he could go from future leadership contender to politically radioactive in one fell swoop. But the thing is, like, if he wins, so if he loses, he's fucked. If he wins, I would argue he'd be even more fucked. Like this is the funny part, but also the terrifying part. Like, Starmer may discover that becoming Labour leader does not magically solve Labour's underlying problems, 14 years of Tory fucking chaos that they're still trying to clean up. The public mood against Labour at the moment is targeted towards actually the leader of Labour. Not the rest of the party as much, right? I know a little bit, but not as much, right? I mean, what's going to change? What's going to change, you know? That hatred that people have for Starmer, it's just going to switch to Streeting. I swear. It's just watch what happens if he wins, which I don't think he will. I mean, honestly, I still at this point, I still think that he'd be fucking crazy to do this, right? But many of the criticisms of Starmer equally apply to Streeting. The managerial politics, the lack of inspiring vision, the sort of the hostility towards activists, the left of the party, the closeness to lobbying and establishment figures like Peter Mandelson, his obsession with appearing responsible, and he would inherit collapsing polling, internal warfare. Because don't forget, if he gets in, all the people who were up in arms about what Starmer had done, they're not going to shut up. They're not going to go, oh, well, you know, we changed the leader, put someone who's arguably more establishment, more right-wing, we put them in charge. You're going to have internal... You're also going to have much more hostile unions against Streeting as well. I mean, they're already dealing with that. Angry activists... The rise of Reform and the Green Party, you know, and the fundamentally unstable political parliamentary party. One thing that Starmer has done by and large is he's kept most of his MPs in line. I know some of them voted in the last King's speech for an SNP amendment to lift the two-child benefit cap immediately, which wasn't something that the government felt it could do, and it wasn't part of the manifesto. It was, they said they will do it when economic conditions allow, and when the economic conditions allowed, they did it. But it wasn't soon enough for some Labour rebels who then, you know, like people like Zara Sultana, they lost the whip, and some of them have got it back now. They'd lost the whip for a few months. But Zara Sultana, for instance, this kind of annoys me, right? So she got into Parliament on the back of contributions from dickheads like me who were members of Labour and were paying our fucking dues, £5 a month, right, to be a member of Labour. We were paying for that. And she was given, as a result of that, volunteers who would go out in her constituency and knock on doors and say, you know, will you vote for our person who's going to, you know, she ran on a manifesto, right? And then when she got in, she looked at the manifesto and went, this isn't good enough. In the manifesto, it said, we will lift the two-child benefit cap when the economic conditions allow. And then she got in and she was like, I'm going to vote with another political party, which I'm not part of, for an amendment to the King's speech back in 2024. And she got kicked out. Well, she lost the whip. She didn't get kicked out of the party. She lost the whip. And then she was like, well, fuck you all. I'm going to join another party. I'm going to start your party or whatever, right? And I think that's disgraceful because of all the time and the goodwill and the energy of those Labour activists and Labour members who propelled her into Parliament, a £91,000 a year job that she would otherwise not got. As an independent, she wouldn't have won that election. End of. She just wouldn't have won it. You know, I've ran as an independent. You get fuck all votes. I think my mum voted for me, and I did remember to vote for myself. But that's about it. Like, without that party machine, without that word after your name that says Labour or Conservative or, you know, Labour and Cooperative or Labour and Conservative and Unionist or whatever the full title of these motherfuckers is, you're not getting anywhere. You're not getting in. You know, it's just as simple as that. And so she used that label to get into get herself a job, which is nice, isn't it? And then she immediately, in the first day of voting on anything, she voted against the thing that she stood on the platform for, which is a bit like, you know, being fostered by a football team from a young age, right? Going to the academy, going to the Liverpool Football Club academy, and then in your first match for Liverpool, purposely scoring a goal for Everton. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a bit like, oh, but you're on our team. We're the one who paid for all this. We're the reason that you're on the football pitch at the... Yeah. Anyway, why I order. SG, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Putting aside selfishness to keep Burnham in Manchester, putting so much hope in one person always worries me. I agree. I absolutely agree, SG, with you. I don't think that Andy Burnham is going to be a panacea. I do not think he's going to take Labour into a second golden era or anything like that. I just think he's the least worst option at the moment. I don't think they can keep going with Starmer, but whoever gets in, they will be hounded by the press like you would not believe. Anything that they did, that time that they didn't leave the tea bag in the tea for long enough, that time that they put the wrappers of the After Eight mints back in the packet, and someone else thought there was an After Eight mint in there, but it wasn't. It was just an empty wrapper. You know what it's like. Meanwhile, Nigel Farage is being given the equivalent of 20 semi-detached houses off a bloke in Thailand to run for office. But yeah, you've got Streeting would inherit a very unstable parliamentary party, and as much as if you imagine it like this, so the party is a bit split at the best of times over left, right, within Labour, right? And what I'm going to use as the term left and right is going to be what the general population think of as left and right. Okay, so left is more socialist politics and more socially liberal politics, and obviously the right is more fiscally conservative. It's more socially conservative. It's more conservatively conservative. That's why they call themselves the Conservatives. If you have Rayner winning, right, you're going to piss off the right of the party. If you have Streeting winning, you're going to piss off the left of the party, right? I represented that with the wrong hands. Did anyone notice that? Because I'm looking at a mirror image. So, the issue here is that you need a leader who will actually bring together those two halves of the party. Just for the party, never mind the public and everything else, right? That comes afterwards, right? Andy Burnham, right, is a little bit on the right side, but he's also busy mates with Angela Rayner. Do you know what I mean? So he gets on with the left side of the party. He gets on with the right side of the party. That's why I think that he will be the best of all bad options. One of the things that Keir Starmer has done so far, up to this point, which has been remarkable, is herding those cats that are Labour all together, you know? I've seen some absolute bullshit about Starmer as well, and I don't want to sit here defending him because I think he's made some really bad errors. He's had to do all these U-turns. I think he's done a lot of stupid shit, right? A lot of unhelpful, stupid shit. But when people say he put himself forward as the continuity Corbyn candidate, no, he didn't. Don't revise fucking history. That was Rebecca Long Bailey. In fact, a lot of people who supported the previous leader of Labour left Labour once that particular leader of Labour was no longer in Labour. It was just funny because there was a lot of people who I would call entryists who joined the party in 2015 who hadn't been a member. At that point, I'd been a member for 15 fucking years. But my vote counted as much as some motherfucker who paid £3, some millionaire, lives in Malta, who paid £3 to choose their next leader. I voted for Andy Burnham. But all these entryists decided on, you know what they want? They want some guy who's fucking shit at the job. Some guy who is a really nice guy who's fucking shit at the job. And I hate that. Do you know what? I'd rather have a nasty piece of shit who's really fucking good at their job. I'd rather have a house. I'd rather have I'd rather have someone who, the teacher in Whiplash. I'd rather have that. An absolute fucking gobshite, but they're really good at what they do. I'd rather have that, to be honest with you. I know obviously in politics it's a bit different because you kind of got to get people on side. But compare with someone who's a nice guy. He's just a nice guy. Isn't he a nice guy? He's just a nice guy, but can't actually do the fucking job. I just get frustrated. I'm just like, for fuck's sake, just do. Do your job. Do your fucking job. Can you do your job? No. Well, fuck off then. Breaking news. Rachel Reeves has warned against putting economic stability at risk with leadership challenge following UK economy growth in March. Yep. I'm just seeing if there's any kind of update here. I mean, yeah, and so I'm just reading some of the stuff here. People feel let down and I don't blame them, says Tracy Babin, who's the Labour mayor of West Yorkshire. Allies of Angela Rayner have confirmed that HMRC notified her of its conclusions on Tuesday. The timing could have arguably not been better for the former Deputy Prime Minister at the very moment a possible leadership contest loomed. Yeah, there you go. So Angela Rayner's team therefore dropped their news bomb as soon as possible on Thursday, 6 a.m., just as Westminster was waking. But yeah, so back onto Wes Streeting. And like I say, one of the things, I don't want to sit here and defend Keir Starmer because I think he's been a bit shit in general, but the fact that he's managed to bring the different factions of Labour together and all these votes, and I know there's been a few where the backbenchers have told him to fuck off, and you know what? Give him his credit. He has. I mean, this is the thing when we talk about U-turns and we're saying, oh, it's a weakness, it's a weakness, it's a weakness. A lot of them weren't U-turns. They were actually just changing the direction of the ship a little bit. So, for instance, the winter fuel allowance, you only get it if you're earning less than £35,000 a year as a pensioner. You only get it if you're earning £35,000 a year for not working. These pensioners are earning 60 grand a year and they're not working, and they could be. That's the horrible thing. It's like they want to tell us, like the people who are younger, like, oh, you got to work every hour God sends, or you don't get stuff, and you can't have avocados, and you can't have a cup of coffee because then you'll never be able to afford a house. But it's like, look, at the same time, it's like, but you could still be working. There's no reason, especially you can work from home these days. You could still be working. Yeah, but I've done my work. I've done enough work. Well, why haven't I done enough work? I've travelled more than people do in several lifetimes. Isn't that enough work? Isn't that enough? Is that not? No, okay, it's not enough work. It's like when do you say is enough work? Do you say to someone who retired early at the age of 55? Do you tell them, "Oh, sorry, you didn't do enough work. You should have done more work"? Why is one person who's working until the age of 77 and someone else working until the age of 55? I mean, that's obviously not fair. That person who retired at 55, they should work for another 20 fucking years, shouldn't they? They can work, lazy bastards. Why are they lazy? When they get off their arse. What about someone who's 20 years old and just decided, well, I've done enough now. They want to sit on the couch and play PlayStation. Have they not done enough work? Who decides? Because if you're going to say that someone who's done 55, done 30 years of work is the equivalent to someone who's done 50 years of work, well, it's not, is it? There's 20 years in it. Someone who's still working now in their 70s has done, I mean, objectively, more work in their lifetime than someone who retired early on a final salary pension. And for the last 30 years has been living the fucking life of Riley, buying a new car every 6 months and going on a fucking cruise to the Caribbean and the Pacific and ticking off the islands as they go. Yeah, anyway. So back to Streeting. So yeah, I don't think he will be able to bring the warring factions of Labour together. If he inherits all this shit off Starmer and it doesn't turn it around very, very quickly, he takes all the blame and there's very little room for him to succeed. And let's face it, for the members of the LGBTQ plus community, this is a huge problem because Streeting remains deeply unpopular with many LGBTQ activists and progressive voters because, his perceived failures to strongly defend trans rights, his meeting with turfy motherfuckers and turfy think tanks, his attempt to triangulate on culture war issues, appearing way too willing, over willing, eager, some might say, to compromise with anti-trans narratives. And this matters because Labour's activist base is disproportionately socially liberal. Like, I can't stress this enough. You can say, well, Labour in power have always been socially conservative. It's all about defending the workers. But the reality is that younger people care strongly about these issues, especially about issues when it comes to LGBTQ plus rights and the right to use a fucking loo, the right to go out in public and not feel like you're going to be accosted for being who you are. Or, challenged by someone. Oh, are you trans? Are you? Oh, are you competing in a 3-legged race? Are you? Well, that's got to be a cheat, isn't it? Are you going to have a game of chess? Are you? Oh, well, you'll do better than a woman. A cisgender woman? Yeah, you'll do better because you're a trans woman. You'll beat her at chess. We have to have a separate category. Fuck me. When you say it out loud, it does sound a bit daft, doesn't it? It does sound a bit fucking stupid. Yeah, well, I'm really worried. There was a transgender weightlifter from New Zealand, and she came dead last. Yeah, what about that? Hey, what about that cisgender woman from Algeria who didn't look feminine enough for some racists? Yeah, what about that? Hey, no one, you never talk about that, do you, Graham? Well, I mentioned it at the time that she's actually a cisgender woman, but even if she was trans, I wouldn't care. Like, it doesn't make any difference to me. But according to J.K. Rowling, she's a trans woman in a country where being trans will land you in jail or worse. But anyway, yeah, the progressive disillusionment is already a big problem for Labour. Already a big problem. Is Streeting going to rectify that? Is he? Fuck. And a Streeting leadership would deepen fractures in the parliamentary party itself, but also amongst the membership and also amongst younger urban voters. And ironically, Labour MPs angry at Starmer for drifting rightwards could accidentally end up with someone who many activists, including myself, see as much worse. And also then, you've got the Mandelson Association. The Streeting's closeness to Mandelson matters, right, symbolically, because Mandelson represents the old school, and he represents New Labour, Blair, the fucking war in Iraq, the fact that he's a fucking spiv who sold our British secrets to a paedophile, the fact that he was mates with a fucking paedophile even after he'd been to jail for being a fucking paedophile. The guy is politically toxic, and yet, as I put on my thumbnail, there's a fucking picture of Wes Streeting and Peter Mandelson thumbs up. So that's going to come back and haunt him, innit? That shows the Mandelson also represents establishment inside a Westminster insider culture, and the idea of spin over principle. These are my principles. If you don't like them, I've got others. He is the walking personification of that principle. The party leadership at the moment already feels to Labour members and the wider population, really, the wider electorate, it's just being disconnected. There is that wall there, isn't there? There's that wall. And I mean, they think that Labour are being too technocratic, too corporate, too managerial, and a Streeting fucking leadership bid would just reinforce every one of those criticisms. It would feel like the old Westminster clique reshuffling itself again, And Westminster often assumes that changing the leader changes everything. But voters care more about living standards, housing, NHS waiting lists, wages, public services, energy bills. Energy bills, anyone? Energy bills? And this leadership psychodrama is actively, I'm not going to say it would, I mean, it is already actively repelling voters. And ordinary voters, right? Ordinary people looking at this will just go, oh, Labour's, fucking obsessed. It's just obsessed with itself again. It's just disappearing up its own fucking arsehole. In this level of self obsession and palace intrigue and all this bullshit. Pensioners need to shut up about younger generations not working hard. Considering that they don't work, and they could. That's the thing. So many pensioners could work, but they choose not to because it's more profitable for them to not work. Imagine that. Imagine it being more profitable not to work because you can live off your benefits. Benefits that other people who will reach that age at some point, like myself, will never, ever, ever hope to get. How do I get the feeling that when Graham retires, he will not want to work anywhere but is forced to pick strawberries in a field because he got what he wanted? I don't see myself as retiring. I don't have it in my head that I'm going to retire. I'm going to drop dead fucking working. That's what I've got in my head. I don't have a dream. I don't have the desire to retire. I don't think, oh yeah, that'd be great. I'll be sitting around the house all day playing video games with my feet up. I don't want that, and I'll never want that. I can't see myself deciding, unless I'm actually incapacitated, and even then, as long as I can blink and make letters happen, I would want to write a fucking book or something. I don't know. I just can't see it happening. And don't forget, a lot of the stuff that people dream about doing once they're retired, I don't have that same thing. I've completed my bucket list by the age of 33. So, just like Alexander the Great. But yeah, I've done all the stuff that I wanted to do. I mean, I had to make a new bucket list to go, oh, come on, there's got to be other stuff out there. Let's make a madder one. So I made a madder one, which involves me winning an Oscar. But, the reality is I have done all the stuff that you dream of when you're little. The retirement offers nothing for me except boredom and early death through boredom, because boredom is one of the biggest killers of humans. But yeah, I don't want that for everybody. I know that some people do a shit job that they fucking hate for 30, 40, 50 years in the hope that when they finish it, they'll be able to put their feet up, right? And that's their dream. And that's fine, right? Same as people going on holiday. If they want to just sit on the beach and read a book, I have no problem with that whatsoever. Different horses for different courses. My problem is with people who are retired, who aren't fucking working and haven't worked for 30 fucking years when they could have done, criticizing young people for not working hard enough. I know that house is £250,000, and I know you only get paid £20,000 a year, but you just got to work harder at the job that doesn't pay any more, no matter how hard you fucking work. Streeting news. Douglas Alexander, Scottish Secretary, stresses that for all the speculation, Wes Streeting has still not triggered a contest. Well, yes, exactly. Yeah, indeed. Okay, so my bucket list has one thing on it: to be able to afford a bucket one day. Do you know what my granddad said before he kicked the bucket? He said, "Here, Graham, see how watch me kick this here bucket." So that happened. Anyway, so yeah, and where are we? What were we talking about? Wes Streeting? Retire. I woke up and smelled the hammy pee. Got to get on with that. I'm still about. I've got to say, right, my dad worked until he was 70, and he had his own business. He had his own garage in Liverpool on Muirhead Avenue, and he sold up his business. And to be honest with you, I think it was the worst thing that he ever did. Because it kept him active. It kept him doing stuff. And I think once he retired, I think he just got, because he's obviously my dad, so I must have got this ADHD from somewhere. I think he just got, he didn't have enough things for his brain to be operating on and doing. And he was a very active person. He was always doing stuff. He was always going somewhere or fixing something, or he had several projects on at once. That's where I get it from. I think that it wasn't a great idea for him to retire. And, funnily enough, my mum, who's 7, I don't want to say how old my mum is, but she's well above retirement age. Let's put it that way. She still works. She still works full time. I see myself being like that. And when I say, Mum, do you ever think of like slowing down? And she's like, well, no, because I like going to work. I like seeing my friends in work. I like having something to do. So, yeah. But I understand that not everyone's like that. And it's fine. It's absolutely fine for people who have been retired for 30 fucking years, right? I just don't want them moaning about young people. And I don't want them making young people's lives more difficult. Oh, thank you, darling. I've got a coffee delivery coming. Thank you. I read some vile comments on a Daily Mail story this morning about welfare entitlements. Some saying we should impose a one-child cap, reduce disability and sickness entitlements, and increase pensions. It's crazy, isn't it? It's just crazy. And you know what? There's loads of people who are women, especially, who have worked, and I would say that raising children is work. And I've made this point many times that if you if you look after your own children, that's not a job. But if you look after someone else's children, that's a job. If you do your own dishes, that's not a job. But if someone else does your dishes, that's a job. That someone else, or you're doing someone else's dishes, that's a job. You're doing the same thing, but one thing you're getting paid for and one thing you're not, right? So yeah, I do agree with that idea. But if you want to take an extension of the way that some of the selfish boomers, not all boomers are selfish, but some of the majority of boomers do seem quite selfish in the way that they vote. They constantly vote for the people who will say, yes, we're gonna cut benefits for anyone who's not retired, for not working, as punishment for not working when they could have done. But you've got women who have spent most of their working life raising children, a good 20, 25 years of it raising children, maybe 30 years of it, and only worked once the children are left home. And they're living off a massive pension now because that's the way pensions used to be. Even though they've actually technically only worked for money for a short period of time. It's all set out, isn't it? Richard Bergen, Secretary of the Socialist Campaign Group, has said that if Streeting does launch a leadership bid, he will be ignoring the wishes of Labour-affiliated trade union. Yeah, that's why I'd be very, 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 very. This is crazy. This is crazy. But yeah, psychodrama. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Rachel Reeves' warning about chaos is politically self-serving, but there is a grain of truth in it. The sight of politicians fighting over their careers rather than solving problems is not a pretty sight. And governments that appear unstable often lose authority quite quickly, unless they're the Tories. But they're the natural party of government for a lot of people, aren't they? Unfortunately, the Streeting risks becoming a Labour's Liz Truss moment. Not ideologically identical, of course, but structurally similar. The MPs panic, the party turns inward, the leadership contest begins, the new leader lacks legitimacy, divisions worsen, public confidence collapses, the bond market collapses, and Labour think that they're stopping disaster, but they may actually end up accelerating it. We might end up with a Streeting premiership that lasts for fucking 44 fucking days, or whatever it was. Was it 48 days, 46 days? Something? But then, if Labour MPs on the soft left and centre are so desperate to remove Starmer that they accidentally install someone that is even more right-wing than Starmer, someone that many activists and younger voters even, dislike even more. And the leadership contest intended to save Labour and put it back on track could end up fucking derailing the whole project entirely, deepening the factional warfare, alienating the membership, splitting the coalition further, strengthening refuck, and making Labour look unserious and chaotic. It's objectively absurd, and unless here's a message, right, from The Guardian. Wes Streeting is deeply unpopular on the Labour left. That's the first opening paragraph 8 minutes ago on the Guardian website. He just is. They don't like him. Now, the very same rebels that are rebelling against him. So if he does run, right, he'll lose. He'll lose against Starmer. And especially if no one else runs, he will fucking lose. And he will lose badly against Starmer, because not only will the people on the right of Labour back Starmer, the people on the left of Labour are not going to back Streeting. They're not going to do it. It could get interesting that there's a three-way race, which will be Streeting representing the right of the party, Angela Rayner representing the left, and then Starmer Piggy in the middle representing the people who just don't want they want the no drama Starmer, and in that 3-horse race, I could see Starmer fucking winning it, to be honest with you. Which means that he'll be given a bit more legitimacy, and you won't be able to get rid of him in a year's time, when maybe Andy Burnham will be back in Parliament and will make a better run of it, because Burnham represents something that Streeting arguably doesn't: emotional connection, regional credibility. I don't even know where Streeting's from. He has no connection, as far as I'm concerned. He may as well come from the moon. He's got a moon face. That would make sense. Andy Burnham's got authenticity. He's got a visible distance from the Westminster. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. from Westminster managerialism. And, you know, even people who disagree with Burnham often think, you know, he believes what he says. He's got conviction. He sounds human. He's done a really good job of being mayor of Manchester. You know, Streeting's challenge risks highlighting that contrast even more bloody sharply, doesn't it? MPs, bye everyone, says Sarah. Bye, Sarah. Have a nice day. No pork. How are you going to support the pork markets? Pork markets. How much less time would Truss have lasted if Parliament hadn't gone into recess after the Queen died? Yeah, exactly. I think she would have been, what was it? Anne of 1,000 Days. No, Lady Grey. Lady Grey. She was 6 days, was she, Lady Grey? Starmer is right wing, says Kirsty. Well, he's not right wing, because if he was, he would be a Tory. He would be in the Tory party, making loads of money for himself. There's no money in the left. There's no money in the left. You want to be rich. If that's the reason you go into politics, which is all the right wing people go into politics for. There's no money in the left. They know this. This is why all the spivs are on the other side. You can argue he's on the right wing of the Labour Party, but that would make him more towards the centre. But I don't think he's running around going, we need to privatise everything. We need to fucking let the markets decide. We need to, so far we haven't really seen that. But yeah, I would agree that he's more socially conservative than I would like him to be. Definitely on the right wing of the Labour Party. What else have we got? That's it for Ray 2. Yay, Ray! Woo! Woo, woo, woo. Right. Trouble is, Starmer's finished now. Keeping him on just extends the chaos. Plus, we're now all seeing he won't step down. Well, Wes, I mean, does he need to step down at this point? I mean, 100 MPs say they want him gone, but 100 of his MPs said we want him to stay. So, and let's not forget the previous guy. I mean, have a look, right? And this what was the here you go. Shadow cabinet resignations. Who's gone and who's staying? So this is a Guardian article from 10 years ago, right? Have a look at this list. Right? The shadow cabinet. So this is 10 years ago, right? All these went from the shadow cabinet. They walked out and said, I don't want to be part of this anymore. Hilary Benn, Heidi Alexander, Gloria De Pero, and Ian Murray, Lillian Greenwood, Lucy Powell, Kerry McCarthy, Seema Malhotra, Vernon Coker, Lord Faulkner, Carl Turner, Chris Bryant, Lisa Nandy, Owen Smith, Angela Eagle, John Healey, Nia Griffith, Maria Eagle, Kate Green, Luciana Berger. To my, I think that's about 20 or 21. 21 members of the cabinet. And then you've got the junior shadow ministers who left. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 junior shadow ministers left. This is the end of June 2016. Front benchers, we had the parliamentary private secretary, Stephen Kinnock, Karen Smith, Ruth Smith, Jess Phillips, Chris Matheson, Neil Coyne, Matthew Pennycook, Gerald Jones, Colleen Fletcher, another nine front benchers on the back of that. So all in all, you had, just an insane number, like 40 shadow ministers or PPSs leaving and saying, I don't want you to be leader. And yet the leader stayed on. I'm just saying that compared with that, this seems to me 100 backbenchers saying, I don't really want you. And then some ministers, no one in the cabinet so far has broken ranks. I don't. The previous leader stayed on for another 3 years and 2 fucking general elections. They had Labour into 2 general elections, both of which were lost. Anyway, You keep going back to comment. No, I'm talking about. Yeah, well, I do, because do you not think it's relevant that he had 40 people leave his shadow ministries, shadow front bench, shadow cabinet? 40 people, more than 40, and yet he stayed on as leader. Like, this is the thing. I mean, if anything, that leadership contest made him stronger, which it will do again to Keir Starmer, which I think is a mistake, because I don't want Keir Starmer to lead Labour into the next election. I don't think he's the right person for the job, but I also don't think that Wes Streeting is the right person for the job. I might be wrong, but this is the way things shake out in politics. And looking at what's happened in the past is a good way of predicting what might happen in the future. If you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it, aren't you? But I mean, a lot of the people on the left, instead of sort of like was setting things up for Wes Streeting to become the leader, I'm thinking, is there a route in for Burnham instead? And to conclude on Streeting in particular, this could be pure career suicide in a way that it won't be for Angela Rayner. If Angela Rayner runs, it's fine. Like, she's got nothing to lose, really. She's not a minister at the moment. She's not in the shadow cabinet. Sorry, she's not in the cabinet. Hey, they're not in opposition anymore, Graham. They won the last election by a lot, but not by a little, by a lot. But yeah, this could be pure career suicide for Wes Streeting. He's not challenging from a position of overwhelming public popularity. He's not offering a radically different political vision. He's not guaranteed public support or party support. He's not electorally secure himself. He risks destroying his reputation, losing his job as a Secretary of State for Health, and inheriting an impossible situation if he wins. He's damned if he wins. He's damned if he loses. So why would you gamble your entire political future on this? I don't know. Unless people are just blowing smoke up his arse and telling him how fucking wonderful he is. And historically, this is how parties end up making everything much worse. That leadership challenge by Owen Smith in 2016 made the previous leader of Labour just strong enough to be able to take Labour into 2 elections, both of which it lost. General elections. Which gave us an extra 7 years of Tory misfortune. Thanks for that. Streeting's position is very precarious. He's in a stupidly marginal constituency. He basically knows this is only his only shot at the top job. Yeah, Rayner isn't deputy leader. Yes, that's what I said. That's what I said, didn't I? I said she's not going to lose. She's not going to lose her position like Streeting is. Streeting will lose his position. If he goes for this and loses, you come for the king, better not miss. If he loses, he's not going to be a minister anymore. He's going to be a backbencher. Bye. And no one's going to trust him again. Everyone's going to blame him for everything that happens going forward. And what will happen is a lot of the blame that should probably be put on Starmer's shoulders for being a bit shit at stuff will actually go over to some of it will go over to Streeting, because they'll be like, well, if it hadn't been for Streeting doing this stupid fucking leadership bit. So again, as frothing at the mouth at the chance, the maybe that Wes Streeting is going to start this leadership bid. We're not seeing anything. It's now 5 minutes past 10 in the morning. Still not seeing anything. He hasn't resigned as health secretary, and he hasn't launched a thing. One cabinet minister loyal to Starmer claims Streeting did not have the numbers. All the effort now has gone into stopping him getting 81 names. He's currently on about 30. The herd is not as big as he thinks it is. That is a quote from a cabinet minister. And from my sources, I'm hearing the same thing. One former Tory Downing Street advisor said MPs could be notoriously unreliable in chaotic leadership situations. If it was me, I'd want 130 names to be sure of 81. Yeah. So yeah, we will see. We will see. My point here is not to say whether he's going to run or not. He might not. I don't know. I genuinely do not know. I don't have the answers to that, but I do have a good idea of what will happen if he does run. And whether he wins or whether he loses, I think it's going to be politically disastrous for Wes Streeting and the country and the Labour Party. So yeah, maybe you want things to be disastrous for the Labour Party. Maybe you're so fucked off with them you want that, but I actually don't, because they are still the only party that can feasibly form the next government that isn't the Tories and isn't refuck. And if refuck get in the next election, everything that Labour have done, the stuff that we do actually like the 2-child benefit cap, they'll be taking it down to 1 child. They want to have concentration camps set up around the country to put illegals in, anyone they deem illegal. They want an ICE-style detention centres set up and ICE-style roundups of immigrants, someone who doesn't look like they should, that they don't look like they belong here. So there'll be a knock on the door and they'll be sent off to a camp, which will be put into green constituencies for some reason, because, you know, obviously the local planning for building stuff isn't up to the councils. But yeah, it's pretty fucking grim. Yeah, as an ex-minister for health, there will be a lot of consultancy work coming this way. And we've got Kirsty saying, I was looking to get some Wes Streeting voodoo dolls made, but the supplier had no plastically enough. Yeah, that's quite funny. He does look like fucking Otto the inflatable autopilot from Airplane. I think more offensive than the Z word is whether an MP is taking dodgy lobby money. Streeting fails that test. Yeah, if you follow Julia, oh no, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me, brain. Julia Patterson. She does a lot. She runs Every Doctor, at Every Doctor, and she's very, very good on the freebies that have been given to the likes of Wes Streeting by private medical companies and things like that. I've got to say, those freebies and those, you know, gifts in kind where he's allowed to go to a gig or something, right? It's nothing. It's nothing compared with Nigel Farage's £5 million that he was given to run for office by a crypto billionaire who lives in another country, who helps launder through his cryptocurrency Tether, his stable coin Tether. He allows the Russians to launder their money and evade sanctions that have been placed on them because of the barbarity of what they've been doing in Ukraine. And there's a part of me that's like, I wish there was a connection with Israel somehow. Like, there were sanctions against Israel, and he was helping Israel evade sanctions so they had more money to spend killing Gazans, right? I wish that would come out, because then at least it might get some traction, especially on the left. Like, no one seems to care. No one's even talking about it. I honestly think this whole leadership thing, the way that The Guardian, the way the BBC are going fucking bananas about it, and the newspapers are going bananas about it, I think it's all a bit of a distraction from the fact that 2 weeks ago we found out that Farage got £5 million from a guy who helps the Russians evade sanctions, helps the Russian government, helps Vladimir Putin, a man who murdered a British citizen, sent his goons out to try and kill the Skripals, but ended up killing Dawn Sturgis, a British citizen, on British soil with their fucking disgusting nerve agent. A horrific way to die. And then they denied it and said, "Oh no, it wasn't us. It was other kids," even though they're the only country in the world that developed this particular nerve agent. And the thing is, Putin wanted them to know it was him, as a message to all of his, or anyone who dissents against him anywhere in the world. You are not safe. I will come and kill you. I will put fucking polonium in your sandwiches and your sushi. I will fucking kill you. I don't care if you were wear me Bezzy mate, like Prakashkov or whatever his fucking name was, the leader of the Wagner group. Blew him up out the sky in a fucking plane. Another plane he blew up was MH17, the Malaysian Airlines flight that was blown out the sky with 300 innocent civilians on board. Just blown out the fucking sky with a Russian rocket. And yet, you know, crickets about that. So the money that you know, Putin has made getting in and out of his country using Tether, using Christopher Harborn's cryptocurrency, hardly anyone's talking about it. Someone had a go at me the other day, said, "Oh, you're not talking about this." I'm like, fucking, I did a video about it 2 weeks ago. It's all I fucking talked about. I can't just say it again and again every fucking day. I think people get bored after a while. But it's worth mentioning. It's worth bringing up because now there's going to be an inquiry into it. Unfortunately, I don't think anything's going to come from this fucking inquiry because the rich get away with fucking murder, as we've seen with Trump in America. Yeah, don't worry, Graham. The midterms are coming. The midterms are going to get demolished in the midterms. And here's me going, they're going to fuck the midterms. They're going to make sure that they fucking win. Either Trump is going to skew the system so he fucking wins, or the Republicans win, right? Or he's not going to allow them to go ahead. One of the two. And what have they done? They skewed the system so they're going to win. The last 2 weeks, the Republicans have picked up another 14 seats without having to do anything, without having to do any campaigning, just by redrawing districtors and making sure that the Supreme Court of Virginia goes, nah, you're not doing that, and then the Supreme Court in Washington, the main Supreme Court goes, oh no, you can gerrymander stuff based on whether you don't have to take into account the racial dynamics of any particular area, so that black people living in a particular area tend to get black representatives or people who grown up in that particular region. No, we'll get some white guy who lives 50 miles away and they can be represented by some racist white guy. Gutted the Voting Rights Act, and I hate to say it. I really fucking hate. This is one of the things where I just hate to say it, but I was right. Sorry, he's going to walk the midterms. Stop thinking that there's going to be some wonderful fucking white horse on the fucking hillside. It's going to come and save America. It's not. America's beyond fucked. And I'm sure that the Democrats will put up a good fight. And God, I needed some good news this morning. And I watched Mandami's video. If you're not seeing it, it's fucking brilliant about how he has brought the deficit of New York City down from $12 billion to zero. He balanced the books. Balanced the fucking books. And the way he did it, he taxed the rich. He taxed the fucking rich. And they got things done on the council. Well, they don't have council over there, but, New York City. They were contracting out a lot of council services. I'm just going to call it a council. I know they call it something else. But, they were contracting out council services. So he's brought those services in-house, which makes fucking sense. Because you know what? You get some stupid councillors because you don't need any qualifications to become a councillor. You don't even need to be not racist to be a councillor these days. So you become a councillor and then you're like, oh, why are we spending so much money on snowplows? We never use them. It's like, we'll get someone else in to do that. And it's like, well, why you get someone else to do? Because then we don't have to pay for the maintenance of the snowplows. And it's like, well, you do realize the company that you're getting the snowplows off don't use the snowplows all year round. And when they're not using the snowplows, they've got to maintain them. And then they're going to pass the cost of that maintenance on to you anyway. So you're paying it either way, except when you get a private contractor in to do it, you're paying a premium on top of that because they need to make a profit. Whereas the council services don't need to make a profit. They can be run not for a profit. And it's not like the person driving the snowplow, that's their only job. The only thing they can drive is a snowplow. Generally speaking, they'll be able to drive other council vehicles throughout the rest of the year. It's just on a day when it fucking snows, they can drive a fucking snowplow. They're qualified to do that. They know what they're doing. So you have them working for the council all year round and on the days when you need the snow. But they don't think like this. They think, oh, well, we'll just, it'll be cheaper if we just get the, because we could have a whole year where it doesn't rain. It doesn't snow. Anyway, so one of the things that Mandami has done in New York is bringing, is finding cost savings in a way that Doge never did, which is quite remarkable. In fact, Doge has ended up costing the American taxpayer money because of all the people who have sued the government because they lost their jobs. Trump and his cronies over here in Asia now. I know, fucking hell, that plane had Tim Cook in it. It had that prick Elon Musk in it, the president of the United States. Jesus Christ. Fucking hell. Where's a random bird strike when we need it? Can everyone respect manners and decorum discussions, please, everyone? Yeah. Plaid Cymru are literally going to do this, creating 35,000 jobs in the process, though another Welshman called Anora Bevan also made a proportionate tax, not national insurance tax. Yeah. Liam's after your position. Don't be mean to each other. Robot King says, yes, to be fair, Graham, yes, Graham. Yes, Farage did take 5 million to run, but did he get some glasses from his friend? Let's get some perspective here, guys. Yeah, couldn't agree more. I had a neighbour move a fence post once. I suppose he could have been seen as stealing land, but there was a huge tree in the way. No stress needed. Just because French and British had contracts doesn't mean those contracts were good business and good faith. Public support was needed. The country was lied to when the patriarchy got fat. Yep. Couldn't agree more. And unfortunately, Britain and America have assisted in the G side with our money and votes. Well, I mean, I've re-assisted in the genocide in Ukraine, where there is a concerted effort by the Russians to destroy to just destroy the Ukrainian culture, the Ukrainian people, the Ukrainian religion. They want it all Russian, the Ukrainian language. They want it wiped out. That is their stated objective. That sounds like genocide to me. And the guy who's helping to fund that genocide is Christopher Horban, and the man who's giving money to Nigel Farage is Christopher Horban. And I think that if it did come out that they were allowing, Christopher Horban was allowing or facilitating Israel getting around international sanctions, if international sanctions were placed upon Israel, that would be hugely problematic for a lot more people. Because at the moment, Farage getting this money, like I say, I don't see too many marches each week for what's happening in Ukraine. I don't see too many marches for what's happening in Iran. And I think that I don't want to be whataboutism about this, or what's happening in Sudan, which is absolutely horrific, or what's happening in Eritrea, or in Libya, which has still got a fucking war going on that nobody talks about anymore. Yeah, I genuinely think that if you're against one stated genocide against people, whether that's the people in Gaza or Darfur or in Ukraine, I think we should be consistent about it and say, yeah, we want all these horrific things to stop. I think that the overwhelming focus on Gaza doesn't help our cause. I think that Gaza should definitely be, what's happening there should definitely be protested against, and definitely be a part of the political discussion and political protests, absolutely 100%. But at the same time, I want to see protests against other stuff being, it might not be as prominent, but just being there, just being acknowledged at the very fucking least that there's other shit going on right now, which there absolutely fucking is. David Faulkner, thank you very much for the 38 Hong Kongian dollars. Trump visits Xi. China won't export rare earths, expand trade with the US on principled rogue regime. They'll desire first to secure a peaceful Iran solution. Yep, I can see that. And George only, thank you very much. I dislike Streeting because I don't buy it that he can be gay but also anti-trans or pro-TERF. To me, it's hypocritical. I believe in rights for all. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, George. I think it's morally fucking reprehensible that this guy is, not only being a TERF, but he's a gay man being a TERF, and you're like, what the fuck? But I've met gay men, I've met lesbians who are TERFs, who are have this huge problem with the T and LGBT, and I just don't get it. Good news for Streeting, by the way. NHS hits interim target for planned treatment. Away from the political headlines, this morning we have had an update on some NHS figures. The government has hit an interim target for speeding up planned NHS treatment in England. The target was 65% of treatment. Patients being treated within 18 weeks in March 2026. Today, the figure for that month was released, and it was 65.3%. That's the main target of 92% by the end of the Parliament. In March, the overall waiting list for England fell from 7.2 million to 7.1 million, the lowest for 3.5 years. This is just the news that Wes Streeting was hoping for on a day of intense speculation about a leadership bid. Ed Miliband has said that in the right circumstances, he could stand for the leadership. Publicly, he said he won't stand again. But apparently he's told some colleagues that he might. The soft left Labour in a panic over who would be their candidate in the event of Wes Streeting launching a contest. Broadly, they don't want to back Starmer because they think he'll lose the next election. They like Andy Burnham, but not confident he'll be a candidate. And they have reservations about Angela Rayner, another potential stop Streeting option. Yeah. If Streeting isn't transphobic, Labour is. It's got to be one or the other based on this government's actions. Either way, Labour will not be able to count on my support. Yeah. But I have a question. Like, if they do change the leader, let's say a year down the line, they change their leader and it's Andy Burnham or someone else, and they completely do a 180 on their treatment of trans people. They bring in a new Gender Recognition Act, which is makes it easier to get a gender recognition certificate. It enshrines in law rights and dignities for trans people. It amends the Equality Act of 2010 to define a woman as a cisgender woman or a trans woman with a gender recognition certificate. If they did all that in time for the next general election, is there any chance that you would say, okay, I'll I don't think you're ever going to forgive them for what hell has been like for my trans friends and yourself over the last few years, but is there a chance that you would I don't want to say hold your nose and vote for Labour, but at least either not vote at all, or even come on board, even say, well, okay, yeah, Labour's changed. Because one of the things that me and a few of my friends are trying to do, who are still members of Labour, despite all this bullshit, is we're trying to internally turn the ship so they're not fucking doing this horrible shit to trans people that they don't need to be doing. And I'm one of these believers in being inside the tent and pissing out rather than being outside the tent pissing in. I do think you got more sway within an organisation, and I'd rather be there as a trans ally, standing up for trans people, so the trans people at least got some kind of voice in Labour, rather than walking away and saying, right, well, we're going to just leave it to the TERFs. Because let's make no mistake that TERFs have got a powerful voice in Labour, unfortunately. But yeah, but a horrifically powerful voice. And I don't know why TERFs are in Labour. I don't know why there's anything in Labour that appeals to them. But there are. They exist. They make a lot of fucking noise. That would be a toughie, Graham. The hair runs deep. Yeah, completely understand that. I completely understand that. What they've done is just fucking grim. For me to even consider voting Labour, they'll have to U-turn, U-state, and grovel profusely. They've allowed genocide on their watch, and I cannot forgive that. Yeah. But I mean, I completely understand your stance on that. And yeah, it would not need to be a massive fucking U-turn, and it would need to be a fucking grovelling apology for the hurt and the indignity that Labour have put trans people through over the last few years. It's been fucking... It's been horrible. It's been horrible. You expect this from the fucking Tories and from fucking Trump and fucking Nigel fucking Farage. You don't expect this from your friends. And a lot of my trans friends who voted for Labour in 2024 are feeling now absolutely fucking livid with what Labour have turned around and done to that community, to a community of people who just want to get on with their fucking lives. Statistically, there are as many trans people in England and Wales as there are practitioners of the Jewish faith. Peculiar how Keir protects them but leaves trans people out to dry. Well, yeah, I mean that Cymru, I feel like we all minorities deserve respect and deserve rights. minorities where it's something that people are born into, a certain religious group or racial group or their sexuality or their gender. And I genuinely think that the scapegoating of all the nation's ills on trans people is just, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's just childish. It's so stupid. It's beneath contempt. And they do this in America. You know, all the problems, according to a Trump voter, is because of immigrants and trans people. That's what they genuinely believe. And you're like, fucking hell. It's not the rich stealing from everyone. It's not the fucking tech bros fucking taking the piss. They're punching the wrong way. Captain Google, if Labour goes back to its socialist roots, I may consider voting for them again, but I'm never putting money into my project again by becoming a member. I get that. And Labour needs to become more socialist. I definitely believe that. But don't forget, as I keep saying, when Labour get into power, they become less fucking socialist. They've done this every time they got into power. They're not going to change their minds one day and go, hey, listen, now we got into power, maybe we should. But this is why I really like what Zach Palancy's done with the Greens, not just the Green Party, but also the way that he's given an alternative that people are attaching themselves to. And that's helping pull Labour to the left. It genuinely is, in the same way that Labour's being pulled back towards the orbit of Europe, because there's votes there. There's votes in them their hills. And I like what Zoran Mandami's done over in New York, because that, you got a lot of Labour people who are looking at that going, he balanced the fucking books. He balanced the books, and he didn't raise taxes on working people. He raised taxes on fucking billionaires who had property in New York for more that was worth more than, what was it, $15 million, but didn't pay any fucking tax on it. He made them pay fucking tax on it. There's nothing to them. They've already paid fucking $15 million fucking dollars for something. Jesus Christ. An extra million on that is nothing. My big trans agenda today is to cook fish and spaghetti. I'm only changing themselves to Gallifreyan red. Yeah. I love that. Robin says Labour should delay changing now and try and get Andy Burnham, for the simple reason that people are supporting Farage for change, and Andy Burnham will be changed because he isn't even a Labour MP. Yeah, Robin, I couldn't agree more. Honestly, look, like I said earlier, I don't think he's going to be a fucking panacea. I don't think he's going to fix everything. I don't think he's going to be a cure-all. But I think he's going to do better in an upcoming general election than Streeting will, than Starmer will. And also, I hate to say this, but than Angela Rayner will. I really like Angela. I think she's great. I've seen her. I've met her in real life. I've been to debates where she's in person, and I think she's a really good speaker. She speaks from the heart. She is. I think she's excellent, and she has that genuine working class story of, you know, coming up from not being born into entitlement, not being born into privilege, but managing to, despite everything, you know, fight her way up to the top. It's a true underdog story, and I love that. I love that of her. I think she's great. She's a ginger and she's northern. I mean, what's not to love? But I do worry about the way that the public, the general voting public, are going to perceive her. And I do worry about what happened with Hillary Clinton and with Kamala Harris. I do worry about how the press are going to jump on absolutely fucking everything. And I've already mentioned this with Wes Streeting. The press is going to have a fucking field day with Streeting. You don't think he's got any more skeletons to come out in his closet? Come on. But yeah, everything she's ever said, anything she's ever done, any mistakes she's made in her life is going to be all over the press. It's going to be, you know, it's going to get really fucking ugly. And my dream ticket is Andy Burnham as Prime Minister and Angela Rayner back as Deputy Prime Minister. I think those two could really turn Labour around, turn Labour's fortunes around. I mean, I think it would be incredibly stupid and counterproductive of them if they continued on some more of the conservative, the socially conservative side of what the Labour agenda has been so far. But for the good stuff that Labour had done, yeah, more of that, please. More of that, please. And don't forget also that Starmer is an MP in London, and he is representative for a lot of us as the London bubble, whereas Angela Rayner and Andy Burnham are certainly not. They're from the north, you know. Fucking Rob Stark and his what's her name? What's the chops? The red haired one. I'm king of the north. Only 20,000. Convery says only 20,000 or so in difference. Yet in a world of fucking difference of protection, I'm a cis straight Welshman, but I don't mean I shouldn't be human and care for my fellow persons. Yeah, yeah. And the reason why, and we've talked about this before, but the reason why it's been so easy for the oligarchs, the oil companies, the bigots, the crypto bros, and the crazed fucking children's novelists to go after trans people is because there's so few trans people. And we're in a bit of the same situation that we were in like the 1970s, 1980s, where it will be quite rare for someone to know an outly gay person. It will be quite rare because most of the people, the majority of people who were gay in the 1980s were not out as gay. They just, you know, they got married. They had a beard. Maybe they had kids. But they were gay, or at least bisexual. But you know, it just wasn't talked about. It wasn't mentioned, so you wouldn't know. And it wasn't until like the 90s, the noughties, when it became more socially acceptable to be gay for a certain segment of society. Obviously, for some people, it's always been socially acceptable, but it was only when people realised that they had family members who were gay, or they'd have a good dear friend or colleague or a neighbour or someone who was gay, or an old schoolmate who was gay, out as gay. And they're all right. They're all right. They're all right. And it's very, very hard to other people when those people who are being othered are members of your family or members of your close group of friends. And what we need basically is more trans people. We need lots and lots more trans people, because the number of trans people who are out now is probably the same, similar to how many out people there were in the gay community. What, in the 70s? Probably. Yeah, and I mean, look, I'm still going like out. I'm not talking about people being gay in the 1970s. Of course, loads of people were gay in the 70s. It was a great gay time. I mean, look at the fashion, for God's sake. Listen to the music. But everyone was having a gay old time. But being out, going into work and your employer, your boss knowing you were gay, going out and being a teacher, and the kids that you taught knowing that you were being gay, that wouldn't have been allowed. I mean, that would have been something where, it was a very much a regime of you just don't say. If you were a gay teacher back in the 70s or 80s, you weren't allowed to tell the kids you were gay. In fact, under Section 28, you were definitely not allowed to talk. You weren't even allowed to talk about it. Imagine that you're a teacher with pastoral care over a kid, and the kid comes over to you and says, "I think I might be gay," and you say, "I can't talk about this." And that kid's got parents who would not accept them for being gay and would probably throw them out the house. Who have they got to talk to? Who the fuck have they got to talk to? Just horrible, horrible fucking rules. And now they're trying to do the same with trans people, trans kids, blocking them treatments for no reason whatsoever. Cisgender kids can get puberty blockers. Oh yeah, they're safe and reversible if a cisgender kid uses them, but if a transgender kid uses them, then still no news. It's now past 10:30. Nothing's come out, no breaking news. Maybe there will be in a moment if anyone's listening to the radio. Might get the message before me. Met police were still raiding gay clubs in my lifetime, and I'm marginally younger than you, Graham. Yeah, that's what I mean. So we need more trans people. We need loads more trans people. That's what we need. We need to trans people from a distance with a machine. You just twiddle the machine, change the frequency of their brain, and make them trans. That doesn't sort it. Or alternatively, because that's probably not an option, maybe we could just be a little bit more nicer. Maybe we could be better people and just be a little bit more loving and caring and respectful and empathetic towards other people who might have a different life to us and might lead a different life to us, and that's fine. It's not for me, And I don't want abortion to be illegal for me. It's not for me. It's for other people who need it. It's not for me. You know, I want people to be able to go on holiday and sit on the beach and read a book. Not for me, but for other people. I want people to be able to get tattoos. It's not for me, but I want people to be able to take drugs. It's not for me. You know, legally, without giving money to a criminal. But it's not for me. It's just not my thing, right? But I've got enough empathy to understand that I'm not the fucking world. What I like and what I dislike is nothing to do with it. You know, all the people need to be able to, as long as they're not hurting anybody else, as long as they are not hurting anyone else. So yeah, people can smoke if they want to, as long as they don't throw their dog ends on the ground or smoke anywhere near me or their children or their pets. I'm going to make my dogs breathe in this toxic fucking smoke. Ha 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 ha. Take that, dog. Bastard. I bet all the gay people get pissed in the local towns when the top visits. When the top visits because they can't get a date. Who's the top? Who's the top? Oh, you mean the GOP? Do you mean the GOP? The gobshite. Too many trans allies are silent. The T is silent in LGBT. Yeah, it's a very good point, Kirsty. And this is something that we've been trying to fight against. And I've got to admit myself, I did a episode of Pubcast back in 2000. It was during the lockdown, and I was chatting to my friend Alex, who was non-binary, and now they're trans-masc, and Jess, who is a trans woman, both American, and we did it over Skype. No, it would have been Zoom, I think. Would have been Zoom. Maybe it was Skype back in the day. I don't know. And I asked them, you know, because up to that point, I was outraged. This is in the wake of, do you remember that letter that J.K. Rowling wrote, the turf war letter, where she said that she was abused by her former partner, who was a cisgender man, and therefore she's scared of trans women. And we were discussing it, and I said to them, what can I do? What can I do? You know, I want to help, but I don't want to make a situation worse. Is it my place to say something? You know, I don't feel like I can talk on behalf of the black community or the Jewish community or the Muslim community. Like, do I have a right to talk on behalf of the trans community? And their attitude was, well, no, you don't need to talk on our behalf, but if you could amplify our messages, if you could actually make it very, very clear to everyone that you're on our side, that would really fucking help, Graham, because there's not enough people, like Kirsty said, there's not enough people. There's not enough trans allies who are coming forward and saying, yeah, trans people deserve every right and fucking dignity. Why not? And like, I don't understand why. Oh, sorry, I was going to say I don't understand why this level of hatred is deposited at the doorstep of trans people, but I do actually understand why it is, and it's nothing to do with trans people and their life and the way they live their lives. It's all to do with oil money. It's been pumped into creating culture wars, and what better culture war than one that the left can get onto as well. Same with anti-Semitism. We mentioned anti-Semitism before, and Labour being very strong on anti-Semitism, and I think they should be really just as strong on transphobia. But they are both bigotries that are prevalent on the left. There are people who are very, very left-wing who you get a couple of drinks inside them and they start going on about the Rothschilds and how the Jews run the world and how the Jews run Hollywood and the Jewish agenda and all this kind of shite. I've heard it myself. You can't tell me it doesn't exist. If you haven't heard it, well, maybe you don't drink enough. I don't know. I'm not encouraging you to go out and drink, but I've heard that, and I've heard people on the left say exactly the same things about trans people. About how, you know, trans people they've got their own agenda and they're trying to trans the children, and you know they're taking over women's sports, as if being a good feminist is the opposite of being a good ally to trans people. Well, it's not. It's the same thing. You're either an intersectional feminist or you're not a feminist at all. If you don't believe that trans women are women, you're not a feminist. End of. Get the F off TERF. I don't even use the F in TERF to mean feminist. To me, it's a trans exclusionary radical fascist. Because that's what they fucking are. End of. But that's how they get you. You know, that's how they get the people who want to be a good person. They want to they want to They want to do the right thing. And they believe that if they don't believe that, this is the essential thing here, if they don't believe that trans women are women, then they believe that trans women are men who are invading women's spaces. That's the problem. That's the problem right there. And Alex, my friend, who is trans mask from North Carolina, they are very much of the opinion that this idea, there's someone who's actually worked in a women's refuge. There's someone who's worked in a women's refuge, and they're like, it's absolute fucking nonsense. I don't know what people have in their heads as what it's like in a women's refuge, but if they think it's old fucking bunk beds like when you went to Colomendy as a kid, or what they imagine a POW camp to be in World War II. It's all just a string of bunk beds, and all the women sleep together. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. But yeah, there is too much. I'm not bothered by trans and stay silent. It affects everyone. It's a step to take all rights. There needs to be more. Stop picking on a minority that have done nothing wrong. Yeah, L butterfly effect. Couldn't agree more. And do you know what that reminds me of? It's when people go, I'm colourblind. You know when they're talking about rights for minorities, ethnic minorities, right? And they go, I'm colourblind. Me, I don't see colour. Yes, you fucking do. Don't fuck. And even if you pretend that you don't see it, everyone else does. Every fucking one else does. Do you know who sees it more than anybody else? Someone who's black. Someone who's brown. Who has to live with fucking prejudice all their fucking life. Has to put out more fucking CVs than someone else who's got a white sounding name. So Angela Rayner, there's nothing coming out. Nothing coming out. It is now 10:43 and nothing's come out so far. So Chris Mason says potential leadership contenders are jostling for position this morning. I might be wrong. I'm often wrong. But in this one, if he does go through with this, he's a fucking idiot. I mean, it's like a catch-22, isn't it? You'd have to be an idiot to do this. Lost Missionary. Hi all. Got to admit, I've not heard of trans mass before, so just looked it up. I'm not up on terminology. Would like just people to get on. Yeah. Just saying it's not the problem. The real problem is the mindset of people. But that mindset can be warped. That mindset, like I said, in 2016, no one was talking about trans rights. No one was talking about trans people using the toilet. Sorry, the only people talking about trans rights were trans people and trans allies, right? There was no one running around saying, "Oh, there's all these trans people in the Olympics." There's all these trans people in Premiership football. Oh, bollocks, mate! There's not even a gay man in the whole of the fucking Premiership. There's over 500 full-time professional players of football in the Premiership, and not one of them is gay. Or at least out as gay. The Daily Mail are calling for Labour to call the general election if Starmer stands down. Funny, didn't see you crying for a general election when Cameron, May, Johnson and Truss stood down. Funny that, isn't it? And people going, there'll be a general election. I'm like, well, there's not going to be a general... Can everyone calm down about the general election thing, right? I'm going to say now, and I'll put my hat on the line for this one, all right? That's how much passionately I believe that Labour are not going to vote for a general election. Labour are not going to vote for the... Why would they vote for a general election? Why would they do that? Like, it makes no sense. Oh, you have to have a general election. You got a new leader. You have to have a leader. No, you don't. I mean, that's never happened. They didn't have a general election in 1990 when John Major took over. They didn't have an election in 2007 when Gordon Brown took over. They didn't have an election in 2016 when Theresa May took over. They didn't have an election in 2018 when Johnson took over. They didn't have an election in 2022 when Truss took over, or in 2022 when fucking Sunak took over. They didn't have a... They did not... They did... Anyway, Jesus Christ. Hidden Night, they have different rules in different parties, says Diz. Trans masculine is trans men, trans feminine is trans women. Yeah. Keep your hat on, Graham. Taking it off will affect the lighting. It will. HMRC regards Rayner stamp duty row as closed. There you go. HMRC said, oh, you should have paid this. And she went, okay then. And she paid it. They had an inquiry to see whether she was trying to get around paying it. So whether it was, a mistake or whether it was actual tax evasion. They've come back and said it was a mistake. The HMRC has cleared Angela Rayner of any wrongdoing. So there you go. She took reasonable care and acted on good faith based on the expert advice that she received. She has now paid every penny that she owed and has been exonerated by the HMRC. But there you go. Rayner's statement would seem to indicate her case has been deemed to have been in the bottom category, which means the tax authorities have concluded that she took reasonable care and should not pay a penalty. And that's the important thing. She's paid back the tax. She's not paid a penalty. I wonder if Nigel Farage paid tax on that £5 million gift that he was given. I somehow doubt it. I have seen the abuse of trans folk firsthand. My late trans friend Libby had her ex robbing her of her meds, taking them and his own meds, beat her, and then fucked off to bed. I had him arrested. I'm glad you had him arrested, mate. And that's terrible. I'm sorry for your friend Libby, and I'm sorry that she's no longer with us. It has been absolutely fucking hell. Okay, let's see what the shite papers are saying about the street thing. Okay. Since you asked so nicely, let's go over and see what the papers say. The papers say nothing. Why are the papers not saying things? Papers, say things. Yay, there you go. Just took a minute. The Times there. Joan Collins still got it at 92. It's not bad. She's still going at 92. We've got Caitlin Moran's Celebrity Watch with that picture of Caitlin Moran like this. It's very important that we always have a picture of Caitlin Moran doing this. Then we got Streeting prepares to quit ahead of number 10 challenge, which still hasn't happened. Harry speaks out on Gaza and the rise of anti-Semitism. Duke of Sussex has spoken out against the rising tide of anti-Semitism while appearing to criticise Israel for acting without accountability and in ways that raise serious questions under international humanitarian law. And I will go back to... I was right. No, sorry. I will go back to the point... so that popped up. It wasn't meant to. I will go back to the point that I've been making for quite a while now, that the biggest drive for anti-Semitism right now is the Israeli government. And I think that if you think about it for a moment, considering all Jewish people have a right to go and move and live and work in Israel, I think there's a very good chance that that there is an agenda behind this within the Israeli government to say, let's make life hell for Jewish people around the world, so more Jewish people are hounded out of their homes wherever they live, or they don't feel safe wherever they live. So they come here to Israel and help prop up our economy and maybe join the army so they can do horrible things to Palestinians. Don't know. Just a thought. Miliband to fight Streeting for number 10. Health Secretary expected to resign today and spark race for top job as Starmer refuses to go quietly. The beauty tips you can learn from rivals. I hate to say it, but Macron is right about manners. Oh, well, yeah, he is. And there's a picture of the woman, and that looks so AI. That picture looks so fucking AI. And that little girl that she's giving a hug to, she's got the moppet haircut from Hollywood movies. Have you noticed how every kid, no matter whether they are the kid from Liar Liar or the kid from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, or the kid from Gladiator, they all have that fucking haircut. That fucking hair, it fucks me up. That fucking haircut. If I'm watching a movie and I see a kid, and I hate kids in movies at the best of time, unless it's a kid's movie, then it's kind of acceptable, but only if they're older kids and they're kind of funny. But, little moppets, little fucking moppets, that fucking moppet haircut can fuck off. Anyway, so there's a picture of the woman in case you forgot what she looks like. So there you go. She was in Italy. Hooray. And Princess shows off language skills on Italian job. Hurrah. That's from Hannah Furness. Hannah Furness, who is a royal editor. She edits royals. I don't know how she does that, but there you go. Let's look her up. Should we look up Hannah? See what the rags to riches story that Hannah has to tell in her life. Do you reckon she came up in a pit village up here in the northeast, Maybe she came from the village of Pity Me, which is a genuine place here in Durham called Pity Me. Let's have a look. She's the Telegraph editor. Let's go. What school? What school did Hannah Furness attend? Question mark. Let's see. There is no publicly available information on a specific school or university attended by Hannah Furness. Oh well, never mind. It's worth having a look. But yeah, there's nothing. She hasn't put anything online about what school she went to. Now, I will posit that if she went to a state school, that would be all over her CV, because she'll want to know that she did well. Why would you not? If you went to a comp, why would you not put that on your CV? Why would you not make that public information? Of course you would. Mystery bug locks down cruise ship. Politicians unite to raise a glass to our pubs. Nigel Farage and Zach Polanski are polar opposite, but one vital cause will unite them on Saturday as they both give their backing to Telegraph's National Pub Day. More than 8 hours sleep hastens age. Do the irony there that Zach doesn't drink? If you watch the chat that we had in the pub back when we were doing Pubcast with me and Zach and Naomi Smith from Best for Britain, you'll notice that he's got a cup of tea. I've got a pint. He's got a cup of tea. More than 8 hours sleep hastens aging. That's a story there from the from something. So yeah, don't sleep more than 8 hours. And Radcliffe fights Land Rover to be Army's 4x4. I love these stories about like don't sleep less than 8 hours or you'll get cancer. Don't sleep for more than 8 hours or you'll die. Fucking hell. Make up your mind. With that smoky voice, Kemi has filleted Wes so skillfully, even Starmer yelped with mirth. I thought actually yesterday in the debate that Starmer was funnier than Kemi Badnock when he was like, "Oh, thanks for the warm words." Of course, at a private school, Catherine learned language skills. Well, of course, probably Latin as well. She shouldn't have paid it. Health sisters should as part of conveyancing process. Yep. Smoky voice, dear God, this Quentin fella has a hell of a crush on Enoch, doesn't he? Quentin Letts, privately educated, of course. And then we've got Streeting to ignite Labour Day of Anarchy. Health Secretary to resign and challenge PM. Miliband and Rayner ready to oppose him. Starmer pleads with his MPs to stay loyal. Burnham poised to launch his comeback bid. I just think this is the stupidest thing. I really do. You don't have better things to be getting on with at this point in time, do they not? Do they not? I think they should. I think they should. Obviously not. Obviously not. I'm just checking whether there's any new news coming out. No, still not talking about stamp duty. Streeting set to resign and was challenged PM. It'd be so funny if he doesn't fucking do this. It'd be so fucking funny if he doesn't fucking do it. Unfortunately, we do have a frog coming up, so I'm gonna just get my frog ready to go over Farage's face there. There you go, perfect. Finally, a move to bring down zombie Keir. Wes Streeting, blah, blah, blah. And they've got a picture of the woman there on the front cover of the, I don't know, whatever that is, the Express. And then we've got the Mirror here. Farage in £5 million sleaze probe. And there's Christopher Harborne there, money launderer to the gods. Yeah, we've got Nigel Farage facing a probe into a £5 million personal gift from a crypto billionaire. There you go. And then we'll get rid of the big frog Farage face. And then we've got, here we go again, Labour Civil War, Downing Streeting. Wes to resign and spark PM leadership contest. We've got Olivia Colman, privately educated, of course. She's a great actress. I'm not knocking her. She's a lovely person. But she did go to private school. And then we've got Streeting on manoeuvres, ready to launch leadership challenge today. And we've got another frog that we need to just put over the little fucking face here. That's going over my face. Don't put it over my face. There you go. Get rid of that for you. We've got Farage faces watchdog inquiry into £5 million gift. You see, this is the thing. If it wasn't for all this stuff about the leadership, what would be the headline on all the newspapers? The watchdog inquiry into Farage. This is distracting away from a very damaging news story about Nigel Farage. Can you stop distracting away from a really... Can you not do that? Can you not... Anyway, so here's a Pierre. Wes Prime Minister. It's like yes, Prime Minister, but you say Wes definitely to yes. I don't know if that works, the Metro. I'm not going to give you the award for puns today. Wes Prime Minister, Health Secretary has eyes on the prize. And you notice the same picture in the Metro as it is in the Financial Times, which we'll circle back to. And there's a picture of Keir Starmer and Kemi Bathmat there smiling away. Then we've got Downing Streeting. See, that's better. That's better. That's better than Wes Prime Minister, because you don't say Wes like yes, do you? Or you don't say Wes Prime Minister. You don't call him Wes Streeting. So that doesn't work, Metro. I'm going to give it to City AM. Downing Streeting. Very good. Labour faces civil war as Wes Streeting looks to topple Starmer. And then we've got Streeting poised to wield the knife against Starmer. And like I say, well, this will be hilarious if nothing happens. This is a big nothing burger. And he decides that he hasn't got enough MPs backing him. Here we go. Latest news coming 3 minutes ago. Kevin Schofield, political editor of HuffPost UK, says a Wes Streeting leadership challenge is now looking more unlikely. Just saying. Looking increasingly unlikely that Wes Streeting will challenge Keir Starmer today. Some of his team are not convinced he has the 81 supporters locked in to formally launch a contest. Suspicion that Angela Rayner's announcement this morning that she's been cleared by HMRC is also making Streeting think twice. And then in brackets, readers would be getting fed up with the uncertainty. You are not alone. Journalists would like a bit of certainty too. Well, you know what? Fuck yous, because you're making a big thing out of this, and I don't think it needs to be made a big thing about. It would be hilarious if this was just trolling. I think it is. I don't think anything's going to come of it. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I will most certainly say I was wrong and I accept responsibility. But if not, Anyway, so we're going to go over to the what's this called? The Financial Times. EDF's part in Europe's nuclear renaissance, French word there, means rebirth. How exclusive can luxury really afford to be? I've done some mad luxurious things in my time. I've been on cruise ships. I've been on in like the best fucking cabins. I've been to Grand Prix. I've been to the horse races. I've been to all these things that are supposed to be for the elite. I've been to the VIP party after a Blair gig in Wembley Stadium. I've got all these things. I'm not rich. It's just I know people, and people are like, oh, he's good in a party. I guess, I don't know, but there's a lot. I've been on fucking multi-million-pound yachts. I've sailed on. I've done all the stuff that you're supposed to do as the elite, as you say. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's no different to having a laugh on a fucking pirate ship, or going the crazy house and just having a dance with your mates, or going the heebie-jeebies and listening to some Northern Soul. I've been to some exclusive fucking parties that I'm like mad exclusive, and I've always felt a little bit out of it because I'm not part of that clique, and I've always been brought along as sort of like the interesting person with an interesting story to tell, I guess. But the idea of this like luxury lifestyle, it's I'm not going to say it's not all it's cracked up to be in that way. I mean, it's fun. Of course it's fun. Now, I've been on a plane where it's just been me and 3 of my friends on a fucking plane journey. We've had the whole plane to ourselves, literally. Not because I hired a fucking plane or chartered a plane or whatever. It was just that's what happened because there was no one else on the fucking plane. It's just the way it worked out, and I just happened to know the other 2 people who were on the plane at the same time. 2 of my very good mates in Bocas in Panama. I think back of like some of the stuff that I've seen and some of the stuff I've done. I've been to one of the last space shuttle launches. I was there at the point where, the closest point where the public are allowed to go. I was at the goddamn pyramids during the millennium. Like, that's where I saw the millennium at the goddamn pyramids. I mean, just that luxury life, that these people pay so much money for. I've either blagged in, got in for free, got in for like £2 fucking 50 because I just had to cover an entrance charge or something. And I've managed to sort of blag my way into these things. And I think what the disappointment is for a lot of these very, very wealthy people who can never find attainment because nothing's ever enough. Once this sort of luxury lifestyle normalizes itself, it's not that different. It's not that different from a night out in Liverpool. It really isn't. If you're getting drunk on a boat, that's like a multi-million-pound yacht. How is that different from getting drunk in the Jacaranda? You're sitting there with your mates. There's a bunch of people you don't know just turned up because, there's a party. You need a few people for a party, don't you? And it's just... And you can see why. Oh, I can see why. Like, rich people are just... They always feel like they haven't attained what they wanted because they always imagined you get this luxury. You get this luxury and it's going to make you feel better than everybody else. But the reality is you buy a handbag for $5,000 fucking dollars, like a mad twat. Someone can get an identical bag. Like, it looks fucking identical from St. John's Market for like 20 quid. And you'll walk out and from a distance, no one's going to know the difference. No one's going to know that they've got a blog bag and you've paid top rate, except for you. And this is why so many rich people are so fucking miserable. They're so miserable. All they can do is take out their misery on segments of society, sections of society that they consider beneath them, which is really sad. Breaking news: Streeting hasn't resigned yet. That's not breaking news. him resigning would be breaking news. Sea beams off the shoulder of Orion. Yeah, absolutely. I've seen volcanic eruptions off the shoulder of Papua New Guinea. There you go. Under a carpet of stars, and to the right of me, there was the mouth of the Sepik River, which is where there's just this massive thunderstorms going on. Thunderstorm in the distance that way, erupting volcano that way, and a carpet of stars in the middle, sailing on the chugging along on the ferry boat, on the wing of the bridge, on a wing and a prayer. Great times. I've watched the sunrise from the top of the fucking Great Pyramid of Giza. Can't beat that shit. My dad goes on cruises, and every time he comes back, he doesn't talk like he's had a holiday. He talks like he's had a night out in the West End or something. Yeah. It's not that different. And do you know what? Like food that rich people eat, it's nice now and again. But I remember being in... Where was I? Singapore. I was in Singapore, right? And I was chatting with a guy in one of the pubs there, and we were, having a drink, and everyone's having a laugh. And he went, "How long has it been since you last had a portion of fish and chips?" And I went, "Oh Jesus, it must be 2 years or something, because I've been traveling that long since at that point." And he went, "Wait there," and he went off. And there's a guy who lives in Singapore who wanted a chippy, so he bought a chippy in the UK and took all of the kit out the chippy and brought it to Singapore so he could have a chippy. He set up a chippy in Singapore, right? And don't at me about British people going on holiday and wanting food from home. Up to this point, I'd just eaten what was given me, and he just came over and jumped this portion of fish and chips in front of me. And I was like, fucking that was the best. And curry sauce. And it was the best fucking fish and chips I've ever had in my life. Just because it had been so long since I fucking had it. I think back to amazing food I've had. It's been street food. It's been like stuff that's been made in an awning at the side of the road. It's been like a kebab somewhere, or, it's not necessarily been like the high cuisine, the upper echelons of eating. And a good healthy mix. But if all you eat is nouveau cuisine, you're going to get sick of it. You get sick of everything. You need the mix in life. I guess maybe rich and famous people, they get to a point where they just can't go out the pub, can't go down the pub with their mates anymore without people coming over so they can have a photo and all that kind of shit. This happens when you're rich and famous, I guess. But I think they lose sight of the proportion of stuff, and I think when luxury becomes everyday, I think that for example, if you have a Ferrari and you drive it to work. And you got this Ferrari. There was a McLaren. There was a McLaren in front of us in the queue of cars on the school run the other day. A McLaren, like it's probably worth about fucking 200,000 fucking pounds or something fucking mad. And it's sitting in front of us, revving its engine in a traffic jam. Just sitting there in a traffic jam for like 15 minutes, just inching forward. And I'm just thinking, like, if I had to go in one of them cars, I would not want to be in a traffic jam because that's just turning it into like a fucking. You may as well just have a Nissan Micra. Why have you spent all this money in a car just to sit in it in a traffic jam? If I could have the car for the day and go around the Nürburgring or something, that'd be fucking great. That'd be loads of fucking fun. But yeah, just make it a special thing, and that's why our relationship with luxury, when people like you and me get to have a little bit of luxury, when we get to, see how the other side lives, it's a nice treat. But it doesn't take away from my love of fish and chips. It doesn't take away from my love of Greg's pasties or, whatever garbage I like putting in my mouth. But at the same time, I mean, it's rich people, I guess. That goes back to boredom, doesn't it? Boredom. It's the fucking killer. The killer. So many people. Why did you start this drug addiction, Mr. Celebrity? Oh, because I was bored. Unfortunately, we have a local chippy chain that does gluten-free. When I first moved into the area and found out I was in heaven. That's awesome. Luxury is a devil's plaything. I mean, it's a fitting take for how we ended up with evil twats having a sports car to go to work. Yeah, it's fucking madness. It's fucking madness. Modern McLarens are ugly. Forget the prestige. I'll sooner have a Citroen hatchback than one of those things. Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things that I love about an electric car, it's not like a sporty fucking car. It's not like a convertible or not. It's just nice. It's honestly nice to drive, apart from the fucking screen thing, which I hate. But it's nice to drive. Yeah. So I think when luxury becomes everyday, people just get bored, and it's never enough. It's never enough. I know. I guess when things come easily, like if you have to save up to buy a thing, like you think for anything in your life, especially when you're a kid. And you saved up for it, and then you bought that thing, and it was your favourite fucking thing because you saved up for it. You fucking bought it yourself out of your own money, and you feel an attachment to that in a way that you don't if someone else buys it for you. Well, imagine you've got like millions in the bank, and then you just go and buy something. Is it going to be as special? You don't have to save up to buy that thing. You don't have to put some money aside each month to buy that thing. Of course you didn't. You got enough money to buy anything you want. You just see something, I'll have that. I don't know. I think we need the richness of human, the whole tapestry of human life. I feel like a lot of the problems in the world right now is because the rich aren't happy because they'll never be happy because they'll never have enough, and they want the rest of us to be as unhappy as they are. Hence the war on trans. Hence the war on fucking anyone who's trying to buy a house now. Young people. The war on young people. You can take the person out of Liverpool, never the Liverpool out the person. Says Gumby. Yeah, absolutely. Would have been fun to ride a bicycle on a Cybertruck, then pedal away really fast. The problem is wealth can't be seen to rest. They sadly feel the need to show it off. We should tax the money that these wealthy are spending on pointless luxuries. Well, yeah, that's how VAT originally started. VAT was originally on things like whiskey and cigars. It was stuff on luxuries that people didn't need. That's why there's supposed to be no VAT on milk. There's supposed to be no VAT on bread, things like that, or children's clothes, which is great if you're tiny. Yeah. All these hobbits running around getting children's clothes and not having to pay VAT on it. It's great. Daddy Stanton, thank you very much. Don't forget to grit your teeth and watch Eurovision to support my chum Sam tonight. Yeah, okay, will do. Eurovision tonight? Oh, it's the semis, isn't it? It's the semis this week, and then we've got the final at the weekend. Probably going to watch it. Although I totally understand why countries have boycotted it. It absolutely fucks me off that Israel have cheated quite clearly in the past and ruined the competition for everybody else. For a country that's not even in Europe, I think that's a bit fucking cheeky, to be honest, to put it mildly. So I will be watching it, if nothing else, to vote for someone who's not Israel. Okay, don't cheat. It's fine. Do a good song. That's all I ask. And also, I mean, don't support a genocide. Twats. Money gives you opportunity. If you're poor and miserable, it's difficult to change stuff. If you're rich and unhappy, you've no excuse to change stuff. Yeah. But I think it's fulfillment, isn't it? I think a lot of these people who especially people who are born into money, I think they're probably the worst for feeling unfulfilled. Because it's not like they can look back and say that I achieved that myself, because they haven't achieved anything themselves. They've just taken their family fortune and made a bit more money out of the family fortune that they were already fucking gifted with when they were born. You know, the likes of Elon Musk and Donald Trump and all that lot. Restarting Super Chat's roll for Confetti. Woohoo! Thank you very much, Andrew Ray. That's very kind of you. So we're going to go back to the papers for a moment. Starmer rallies loyalists in move to cease off-streeting challenge. We've also got disgraced financier O'Day settles sexual assault claims to end second legal fight. Crispin O'Day has settled, privately educated of course, settled personal injury claims brought against him for sexual assault in the latest legal battle that the financier has ended this year. This man who is a fucking sex pest, disgusting piece of fucking work. He's actually a grotesque human being as well. And if you're still in love with Brexit, I just want to remind you that O'Day was a big bankroller of Brexit. In fact, he is the man who made a fuckload of money out of Brexit. He made a shitload, he made a fuck ton of money out of Brexit. Something that he helped pay to make happen, and he got a fuckload return on his investment. You want to talk to me about fairness? You want to talk to me about, you know, these people who exist to make money for themselves, to exist to feather their own nest. Talking of feathering their own nest, Farage to be probed over crypto tycoons' £5 million gift. Nigel Farage will be investigated for not declaring a £5 million gift. The absolute piece of shit, gobshite motherfucker. God, I hate that man. I hope bad things happen to him. Really, really bad thing. Awful, awful things. Right, we've got Wall Street's top prosecutor rejects private credit fears. Jay Clayton, US Attorney for the Southern District of New York and former board chair of Apollo, has dismissed fears about the looming crisis. Okay. Intersect poised for deal. Warsh confirmed for Fed. So the US Senate has confirmed Kevin Warsh as Federal Reserve Chair. That's not going to end in disaster. Estate agents gloomy. Riyadh hit back at Iran. Saudi Arabia has launched multiple strikes in retaliation for Iran's missile attacks on the kingdom in the war launched by the US and Israel. Those briefed on the matter have revealed. So we were talking yesterday about Oman. Sorry, not Oman. The UAE, the United Arab Emirates, launching missiles and maybe getting involved in an actual fucking open war. So it was yesterday or the day before? Sorry, it was Tuesday, wasn't it? And now it comes out that actually Saudi Arabia has been launching missiles as well. US wholesale prices leap. Producer prices have jumped with wholesale inflation hitting 6% in April. Oh dear. It's almost as though if you elect a clown, you get a circus. BYD claims breakthrough. Chinese electric car maker has said its rapid charging system will remove the final barrier for consumers to go electric. Flash charging enables EV to charge in 5 minutes. Boom! Yakasha. EU rail ticket shake-up. Brussels has unveiled plans to force train ticket providers to display rivals, offers, and allow passengers to combine services brought from different operators into a single ticket. Hurrah! Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. Hurrah. O'Day was briefly married to Prudence MacLeod, Rupert Murdoch's daughter, and privately educated, of course. Prudence. Fucking hell. O'Day is so fucking vile. Okay, so a new story from the BBC, scraping the barrel here. Just popped up. Nearly 90 Labour MPs have called for Starmer to go. That's as a reminder. That's not breaking news. That's just as a reminder. Anyway, so we've had no more updates since Kevin Schofield, political editor at HuffPost UK, says a Wes Streeting leadership challenge is now looking more unlikely. What I've been saying. Because it'd be a daft thing to do. It would be a really daft thing to do, Wes. Shut up, Wesley! Or Yesley, as I like to call him. Wesley. Shut up, Wesley. Shut up, Wesley. Wes. The headnight. Remember when Nigel said today's our Independence Day, and then we never had a holiday for the UK? That made me laugh. Although the WoW make a holiday, but don't make a holiday, lol. Yeah, I mean, calling it Independence Day is a fucking disgrace because of the fact that there's about 60 countries around the world that celebrate their independence from Britain. In fact, how many countries celebrate independence from Britain? See? Ooh, a total of 65 countries gained independence from the UK, United Kingdom, and between 50 and 60 of these nations officially celebrate an annual national holiday, commemorating their separation from British rule. All the facts and figures bouncing around my head. And sometimes they're right. Anyway, shut up, Wesley. I need to get like a little pop-up, don't I, of Captain Picard. He just pops up in the corner here to go, shut up, Wesley, and go back down again. I can never think of something to say in my super chat. Well, you just did, Cuthbert. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate that one. Thank you very much. Tinkinator. Same thing with Netanyahu and Putin. We want them gone, but they are much more unhinged, dangerous people waiting in the wings to take over respectively. Same could be said for Starmer and even Trump. I disagree, Tinkinator. I don't think that there's someone unhinged that's going to take over from Starmer, whoever it is. But I certainly don't want it to be Wes Streeting. I wouldn't be so upset if it was Angela Rayner, although I do worry about her chances electability in a general election. And my preference, as I keep stating, would be for Andy Burnham. As someone I think who could bring both sides of Labour together, not just in the parliamentary party, but in the outer, Hebrides, the outer Mongolia, the outer space, but yeah, with Netanyahu, Putin, I don't think there's someone more dangerous than Putin to take over. I don't think there's anyone more dangerous than Trump to take over. I don't know about Netanyahu because there's Ben Gvir, who's Netanyahu's a fucking twat and a gobshite, an absolute fucking psychopath. But he's trying to keep out of jail, whereas Ben Gvir is just a genocidal fucking maniac. But I don't think he would have the support to become prime minister in Israel. But I could be wrong. Where it comes to Trump and Putin's got rid of anyone competent around him who could competently take over Russia, and I think that Putin's demise is coming at some point. I'd be very, very surprised if he's around in time for the next general election in the UK. Not that he can run in it, but whoever replaces him is going to have a fucking absolute shit fight on their hands because they're going to have to try and wind up what's happened in Ukraine, but blame that whole shit fest in Ukraine on Putin. And having seen what's happened in Ukraine, there'll be a very good chance that Georgia will say, well, we'll have South Ossetia and Abkhazia back. Thank you very much, because they're ours. And also you might have Dagestan, you might have Chechnya breaking away and saying, fuck this shit, we don't want to be part of Russia anymore. It's a gobshite of a place. I could see a lot of problems. And then for Trump, oh my God, like the people around him are fucking, they're not just useless, but they're even more unlikable than he is. Like Trump has charisma, unfortunately, for us on the left, or just human beings that have a sense of decency. He has got charisma. None of the people around him has charisma. Like, look at the JD Vance, not too long, he's ugly, but he's just shit. He's just a drink of fucking water. He doesn't have what he needs. What he's fucking Hegseth. He's fucking drunk all the time. Keg's breath. You got the fucking arsehole Kash Patel, fucking coke face, resting coke face. And then you've got who else? Marco Rubio. He's not gonna fucking take over from Trump. There's no one around him. There's no one in Trump's immediate orbit who could take over from him, who would have the same bombastic power over people. Martin Harrow, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Spent the rest of my super chat budget on Plum's book. It's on Amazon. Oh, fantastic. What's the book called? Yeah, if we can get some more info about the book, I will put it into the chat. And if we just get one more super chat, I can launch the confetti before I go. So there you go. Here we go. Sean is asking me, can you imagine if Streeting had a £5 million donation from a disgraced lobbyist for Palantir and what the media circus around it would be like? Yep, indeed. We're finding out what the book is called. I think it was on the first, if I go to the first super chat. Oh, give me a moment. Plum. Battered. It's called Battered by Gary Layton. Okay, cool. Let me just. Oh my god, I'm trying to click on the so I don't have to type it out. There you go. There we go. Cool. I will put a link in the chat now to that. Top chat. So if you want to buy a copy of Gary's book, it's about growing up in a narcissistic household, meant walking on eggshells, earning love through achievement, and learning that vulnerability was dangerous. Our home was unpredictable, praise was conditional, and self-worth was fragile and hard-won. Survival required vigilance, resilience, and silence. Yeah. A powerful and deeply honest memoir. The author reveals what it means to endure both narcissistic abuse and the relentless demands of the emergency services. It is a story of hidden trauma, quiet courage, burnout, awakening, and ultimately recovery. So that's boss. Well done, Plum. Lay on, Plum Duff. Hat, would you like some garlic or sage with that foot? What? Someone's put their foot in it. Did I put my foot in it? What? Did I put my foot in it? What did I do? Oh no. Rest in Coke face. Thank you very much, Roger Devine. I should copyright that, shouldn't I? Just thought of it then. Just good workshopping this. You know, when we're just talking about shit, I think I'm come up with some of my best jokes when I'm talking to you lot. Some of my worst as well. Hence the squeaky tank. Ed Davey accused of Streeting of having a dire track record on the NHS, saying 24-hour A&E waits are up 20% since 2024. Wes Streeting allies have been briefing journalists. Supporters of Wes Streeting claim he has the numbers, but they say things are shifting. They claim MPs who signed the loyalty letter told the PM last night he has to go. They claim cabinet ministers are going into Downing Street today to tell Starmer to go. They claim Darren Jones is telling the MPs that the PM is going to go. Okay, that's from Wes Streeting's allies. So you should take that with a pinch of, I don't know, sodium nitrate. Where's me chat gone? Maybe MGT could get MAGA supporters to follow Trump. They might be crazy enough to do that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. Also, the fact that you need someone who's like Trump by being a twat, but also far enough away from Trump's mess that he leaves for someone else to clean up. I'm kind of fed up of this. I'm really like, let's just pull back. Let's just zoom out, right, to the whole fucking planet. I am sick and tired of this fucking cycle where the right get in and they fuck everything, and then the left get in and have to fix everything, and everyone goes, "Oh, you're not fixing it fast enough," and then they get the right back in to fuck everything again. So Keir Starmer is not in number 10, he's in Commons office. The calculation in his camp currently is that Wes Streeting hasn't reached the crucial number of 81 supporters that would trigger a leadership contest. Streeting supporters disagree, but it's not just the 81. It's the people who are going to vote for, because he needs more than 81 supporters if he's got to win this fucking contest. This morning, the PM's backers are contacting those who think might be tempted by a Wes Streeting candidacy. The message is that a contest will plunge the party and country into chaos, although he's surprised if there weren't some less high-minded horse trading. There are reports that some MPs have had multiple calls from the Streeting camp to get his nomination over the line. Though one MP on the party's right seemed quite offended that they hadn't been contacted at all. There you go. I'll agree with Gary Stevenson that the biggest danger is not Farage, but those who rise to succeed in coming decades. Kind of like how surprisingly Stalin succeeded Lenin and was much worse. Yeah, but Lenin went into politics for kind of the right reasons. I mean, don't forget the Russian Revolution of October 1917 toppled the democratic government that came in February. Well, the fledgling democratic government that came in February of 1917. The Tsar was toppled earlier in that year. And they were going to move to a parliamentary democracy where they may have kept the Tsar on as a figurehead, but it would have been more like a British system of constitutional monarchy rather than what they ended up with, which was an absolute fucking dictatorship, a horrific dictatorship, which led to the deaths of up to 40 million people. The violent deaths of 40 million people. But yeah, tells you how desperate Starmer is that they're allowing Hughes to speak in his favour, despite how disliked he is by everyone who knows who he is. I don't know who he is. There you go. I think I might watch Billion Dollar Brain again, says Sheffield. I was thinking of that the other day. Why was I thinking of Billion Dollar Brain? I was trying to come up with a pun about oh god, was it the effect of Brexit or was it AI or something? It was Billion Dollar Brainless, but I couldn't quite get the pun to work properly. But I was thinking of the Harry Palmer film, Harry Palmer with Mortal Kane, called Billion Dollar Brain, which is the third film after the Ipcress file on Funeral in Berlin. Don't you know? Tell me what you want me on your quiz team, mate. You want me on your quiz team. I know you do. My name is Harry Palmer. Gala Frame she absolutely is, but wonderfully catty. I know Whedon turned out to be a bell end, but he was good at writing characters, even if Xander is pretty toxic in hindsight. We're talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The Vampire Slayer. Yeah, Josh Whedon, privately educated, of course, went to private school in this country. Which is nice. Turned out to be a fucking raging misogynist. Who'd have thunked it? I was thinking of watching Project Hail Mary. Has anyone seen it? Is it worth 3 hours of my precious time? The answer to that is yes and yes. Absolutely. Amaze. That's what I give it. You'll understand when you watch it. Yes, we've done it. We got the final super chat we needed. Woo! We got it. Captain Go, we got 2 at once. You wait for the super chat to come along and then 2 come at once. So thank you very much to Cuthbert. What's a duck's favourite kind of dip? Guacamole. Oh, I like that. And then we've got a £5 super chat come in from SG. Trump sitting down at a banquet with Chi, hoping a nutritious meal can do what that goddamn McDonald's burger can't seem to do. Too many nutrients. Here's one for you. Have you seen the film Mr. Jones? No, it's not about Tom, but about Gareth Jones. No, I've seen Tom Jones. Doesn't that have Albert Finney in it or something? But no, I've seen Tom Jones, but not the film about Tom. Not the film about... sorry, that wasn't about Tom Jones either. It's about a different Tom Jones. I meant to say Fartface plays Carl Malden as Midwinter's suck-up little assistant. I've been watching The Boys and Foundation. The last episode of The Boys was shite. I mean, this series so far, it's had some brilliant moments, and then it's just undermined itself by just being fucking stupid and daffy and not making any sense and just going, oh, there's a problem. Well, we got this thing and it can take out all the soups. Oh, but we got a problem with it. Just the pacing of it is all over the shop. Some very, very funny laugh out loud moments. If anyone's watched this week's episode, the bit with the deep, and I don't want to give anything away, so all I'll do on this is this, okay? That moment, class, right? 10 out of 10, no notes, absolutely fucking brilliant. But yeah, and just the daftest thing. So if you don't watch The Boys, it's about like superheroes run the country, run the world, but they're evil. They're fucking evil, and it's a massive satire of Trump and MAGA and the American religious right and all that kind of stuff. And there's 2 characters in it who are father and son who are like just the strongest superheroes there are, and they're not heroes; they're absolute fucking villains. And then we have our team of people who are called The Boys, led by Carl Urban doing a ridiculous accent that he's picked up off our friend Wayne, and Keith Urban, Carl Urban, oh, it's one of the 2. Anyway, he's the one from Lord of the Rings and Judge Dredd, the good one. So you got these goodies who don't necessarily have superpowers themselves. And there was an episode in this season where the two bad guys were completely compromised. Like one of them was couldn't move because of radiation. The other one, so it was like they had kryptonite and they'd put like kryptonite on one of them, and the other one was like depressed because didn't want to live anymore. And they just left them there. They just leave them there. It just cuts away to them in a van, like driving home, singing a song together. Do you know what I mean? It was like, this whole thing is set up for you to take out those bad guys. And you had them at your mercy. And you're just like, oh, fuck this shit. We're out of here. And they keep doing a thing where the villains, the superhero villains will turn up against these people who don't have any superpowers. And they'll be like, I'm going to destroy you. You know, like everyone else just gets taken out in a moment. They make their head explode or they'll take them out with lasers or something. But they'll see these people who don't have any superpowers. I can't stress this enough. So they're like, you know, Frenchie or Hughie, they don't have any fucking superpowers, right? So the good guys don't have any superpowers. And they're like, I could just kill you instantly, but first I'm going to monologue. And you just watched it going, this is so unrealistic. You know, you've been a thorn in my side for the past 5 seasons of this TV show. Well, take them out then. Take them. Anyway, there were some funny bits in it. But yeah, I find it very frustrating. I don't think the writing's very good, to be honest with you. Sounds like mega Lord of the Flies. I've just finished watching Daredevil Born Again Season 2, and they said Season 3 will reintroduce the Defenders. We need more Marvel shows like Daredevil, if I'm honest. I haven't watched it yet. It's on my list to watch. I want to watch Daredevil. But I didn't watch the original series of Daredevil. I did watch the first season of Jessica Jones, right? Which was brilliant. I love that. And Jessica Jones was a character invented by Brian Michael Bendis, who is the brother of Jared Bendis, who is the publisher of my book, Man of the World. True story. But yeah, that was really good. Except there was a scene in it where there was a gardener in the park, and the bad guy Kilgrave, played by Doctor Who, David Tennant, he makes him do something, and that scene in my head is just fucking burnt into my head, along with the bit where they pour the molten gold over the head of the brother of Dragon Lady in Game of Thrones. And there's a scene in there's 2 scenes in films that I've never ever wanted to see, right? One is Divine eating shit in Pink Flamingos. I don't want to see that scene, right? And the other one, for years and years and years, was the scene from Un Chien Andalusian, which is a Salvador Dali film. And if you know the Pixies song, you'll know the scene that I'm talking about. And I have made a fucking point of not watching that movie for the same reason I've not watched the Serbian movie. I've not watched The Human Centipede, because I know that these scenes would stick in my head and I would never be able to shake them, no matter how many years later it is. I am still haunted by the scene in Irreversible where they bash the guy's head in with a fire extinguisher, right? That fucked me up, and I saw that movie over 20 years ago, and I can still see it in my mind's eye, right? Never once did I see it. Watched The Bear last night. You know, the cooking show about cooking. It's a bit like Bake Off, but it's more ADHD and set in Chicago, so everyone just shouts at each other all the time. The Bear, it's a great show. It's a great show. It's really funny. It's really interesting. It's shot in an interesting way and interesting characters and blah, 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 blah. There's a bit too much people sitting there looking at things while music plays. But they started this particular episode with stuff about cinema and magic and cinema. And they had all these clips from all these old movies. So they had a clip from Journey to the Moon by George Méliès. They had clips from early movies, early special effects in movies. And they showed the clip that I've been trying to avoid seeing all of my life. Since I learnt about it through a Pixie song. And they showed it without fucking any kind of like viewer advisory or anything like that, just because he wants to have a montage of movie moments. And I was just like, oh my God. And now that I've seen it, can't fucking unsee it. You fucking cunts. So I'm very angry with the makers of The Bear. They can all go F themselves to unalivement. Balls Cobb, Wes Streeting was preparing to launch today, but may delay because he said he's said to be struggling to get the numbers. Yep, I don't care what anyone says. Oldham carries that show. Loudon is great, but I mean Oldham is they bring that dark sarcasm as well. Are we talking about? Oh, the spy show, Slow Horses. Fucking that bit in season 1 where they meet in the park and he goes, "If we don't meet again, I just want to say you're all fucking useless." I just want to say you're all fucking useless. Loved it. First season of Daredevil on Netflix show was great. Shame that the new Daredevil is badly written. Really did my favorite Marvel show dirty. I've heard good things about the new Daredevil. Oh well, you sound like all of us who first Googled Blue Bottle. Yeah, okay. There's other things I've avoided. I've never seen Two Girls One Cup. I don't want to see it. I just do not want to see that shit. I curate what I see as well as I can. I also curate what I hear. I hate it when I go into a fucking supermarket and they're playing that fucking song by the fucking New Radicals. And I'm like, can you fuck off? This was a horrible, disgusting earworm 30 fucking years ago. All right? Can you, why are you playing? Oh, do you remember this one? Do you remember this earworm? Do you remember this fucking song? Do you remember that? Never walked into a supermarket and heard, The Clash or the Manic Street Preachers or Suede, or Wolf Alice. It's always fucking shite. It's always fucking earworm shite. Oh, thanks for that. So often when I go in the supermarket, I'll have my earbuds in so I can listen to my own music because I do not want to listen to the music that they want me to listen to. Tinkinator, exactly as Professor Benjamin Studebaker has been saying, the way forward is shut. We can't remain where we are. We cannot move forward either, so there's too much disagreement and deadlock. I don't want to see that shit is apt, Graham. Yeah. Two Girls, One Cup, not watching it. I saw the film titled Buried. I went, nope. Well, exactly. And I think this is why I don't agree that kids under the age of 18 shouldn't be allowed to watch fucking Aliens. I mean, fuck off. Of course they could. I think I watched Aliens when I was about 10. It's fine. But I want to know what's in the movie. I want to know. I get really squeamish about body horror. So I went to see... And then I knew that there'd be bits in 28 years later. I knew there were going to be bits in the fucking Substance. I knew there were bits in the well, I guess I saw The Fly when I was a kid, but I know there's bits in The Fly or any David Cronenberg film that's going to have like body horror in it. And look, I know what I'm getting into in these things, and I'll just do this thing where I put my glasses down, and then it's out of focus. I can sort of see what's going on, but not in focus. So I get an idea. But yeah. Anyone else that loves seeing from the last season of Slow Horses when Lamb drew the security staff with his story about Berlin and tricked them? Anyone else love that scene? I don't remember that scene. Re-elections, Graham. I've always hated the pendulum politics of UK governance. So we need Labour to bring in PR now and let the mess happen and eventually bring about true democracy. Okay, yeah, Andrew Ray. I'm with you on the whole PR thing. I'm not with you with the whole true democracy because there is no true democracy. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't. There's no democracy that's perfect. Every democracy in the world has problems, and nothing is ever going to represent all the people all the time. It just isn't. There's always going to be pissed off people at their margins. But what we need is a system that best represents people, which is not the system we've got at the moment, and also gets the fucking dirty money out of politics. Get this filthy, dirty money out of politics. Martin Harrow, I don't mind blood and gore, but I can't stomach surgical procedures. Yes, Martin, I'm the same as you. And that's why I could never be a doctor. Also, I'm not smart enough, but like I could never be a surgeon. I just could not do it. While the show has been on, I've measured, cut, and I had a shelf to a crazy looking desk I built. Time well spent for my ears. Lol. Anyway, so thanks very much. And obviously, we need to launch the confetti cannon before I go. I'm going to head off now. God, we've been going on for 2 hours and 38 minutes. Woo! Not a record, but, we're getting there. So thanks very much for... I was traumatized by Bill killing Nancy and Oliver Twist. Yeah! And also Bill fucking getting hung at the end. That was fucking traumatic. I'm still fucked up by bloody Return to Oz that I watched when I was like 5 or something when it came out in the UK. Jesus Christ, Return to Oz. The young Sherlock Holmes with the dipping people in fucking fat or something, killing them. And Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom where they fucking pull the guy's fucking heart out and they put him in the lava. It's just like when you're Howard the fucking Duck. I mean, that bit where the alien comes from the other fucking dimension, it's fucking terrifying. It fucks you up, man. They fuck you up, the films you watch as a kid. They don't mean to. Actually, they do mean to, and they do. Anyway, films used to be a lot more fucking graphic. I'm telling you, when we were kids, I was a kid. Don't know how old you are. Right. Anyway, that's it for tonight. For today, even I'll be back later. I hope with a show in this evening. I think me and Mike are talking about doing maybe a drawn together or something like that. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. If you haven't already given us a like, please give us a like. And also, if you haven't hit the bell notification icon, please do that before you go, because that means that you'll get a notification later on today to let you know when me and Mike are going to do a show, which we hope to do later today. Yeah, and if we don't do a show, you won't get a notification, so you'll know there's not going to be a show. So you don't have to bother looking for it in the case that there was a show, but there isn't going to be. And that means that I don't have to put a thing up saying there's not going to be a show tonight, even though I said there might be. You see? Anyway, if I don't see you tonight, I'll see you tomorrow. Definitely. Most definitely. And before we do that, we're going to launch the confetti cannon. Thank you so much for watching up to this point. 3, 2, 1, confetti! Yay! Thanks to everyone who's dropped a super chat into the super chat fund there. It's very, very kind of you. And thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks to everyone who's joined in the chat and been very sociable about it and being nice, being kind, courteous, thoughtful. The standards we expect on this channel. So thank you very much for that. And until I see you again, you see me again, I guess. I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.